Who's ready for the Dirt Life Show?
Woo-wee! Thank you guys very much for joining us. Welcome to episode 54 of the Dirt Life Show. We are stoked to be with you guys on this Monday night. We have our shows every Monday night, except for if it's a live show, we have them on Fridays. So thank you very much again for joining us. You can always join us on YouTube and Facebook live Monday nights, 6 p.m. And if you can't, if you got dinner with the family or whatever, you can always go to iTunes and watch later, or YouTube and watch later as well. We've been getting a lot more views and stuff on iTunes. That's been really, really helpful. Thank you guys very much for supporting us, clicking the subscribe button on both YouTube and iTunes. It really, really does help us. So we're super stoked to have you guys here. Tonight's show is going to be awesome, awesome, awesome. So first, I'd like to welcome my buddy, co-host extraordinaire, Casey Peck. How's it going, dude?
It's going. And you?
Oh, it's going pretty good. I was going to talk about it. I've been doing some eye therapy, so it's not motorsports related, but
I know
I'm making
exactly how that works.
I'm making it motorsports related. So you had kind of the same thing probably when you had surgery on your brain. So we're going to show a couple people and talk about it a little bit today.
Huh?
It's well, I don't know, man. My head hurt pretty bad today after doing it. But
what's up, Jeff Angel? How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, man. So we want to get a little bit more interactive. We apologize on the show weekly, it seems like, because we can't keep up with all the comments and stuff. But we're going to see if we can do a little bit better and interact with you guys so that you guys can have some more fun with us. You can always join us anytime. Not even during the show, but anytime on Facebook and YouTube, and hang out with us. On Instagram as well. And man, we've been getting so much attention on Instagram from people messaging and just saying, you know, what the show has been doing such a good job. And it's really, really means a lot to me to hear that stuff, because it shows that our hard work is paying off. I've said it a couple times, but it really does make you feel good. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
When you get the pat on the back at work.
Yeah.
So thank you guys very much for letting us know that you guys appreciate what we're doing. So let's keep getting interactive as much as possible. So like I said, you can reach us anytime at the Dirt Life Show, and we have links to all of our awesome guests and stuff there too. You can go to thedirtlifeshow.com. We don't really promote that much, but it's a central repository. You can watch all the videos and shows and everything. And if you can't watch them, you can always listen to them. So looks like a couple of people are saying hi too, huh?
Rory and Brian Myers, what's up, guys?
So when we get the show started off today, we're just going to thank all of our sponsors. We want to thank Shock Therapy. Justin Smith over there, he's just an amazing dude overall. We have some really, 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 I mean, like, I could say really like 10 more times, cool stuff coming in the next few days here. And so we're going to do a bunch of stuff with Justin and a new project that we have with Craig Scanlon and Scanlon Motorsports Group.
Awesome.
So it'll be really cool to announce that. So please pay attention to our social media during the week here. It's going to be really cool to show it to all you guys. We can't wait. And it has to do with the UTV World Championships. So we're going to talk a little bit about that next week on next week's show. So thank you very much to Justin at Shock Therapy for supporting that cause and being such an awesome, awesome guy. You can use the code DIRTLIFE over at shocktherapist.com, or you can call and mention that Dirt Life sent you, and they'll give you a big old fat discount on whatever you guys need over there. Most of the guys are getting the ride improvement system. I think that's what your friends got in their Razor.
I did.
So, and thank you very much to Ryan at KMC Wheels. He's going to also be involved in that project as well, and he's going to be coming up tonight too. We're going to talk with him. He just built a, I don't know exactly what car it is, but it's a Polaris Turbo, two-seater car, and they did a desert race called DP4 this past weekend. It was like a night race. So he's going to tell us all about it, so that'll be cool to talk
Sounds
with him.
like fun.
Yeah, so, and he's going to support the project that we have going on too, so that'll be really cool.
Mac Mitchell, what's up, buddy?
And Travis Zollinger of Zollinger Racing Products, he's also going to be supporting the cause too. So
nice. It's
just so awesome to have all these great sponsors that are on board with the show, and they're getting involved with these other side projects that we have going on. So I think it's just super cool, man. The content and stuff that we're going to be able to produce and the fun that we're going to be able to have with our audience members and our fans is going to be super, super cool. So I can't wait. You can use the code DIRTLIFE at ZollingerRacingProducts.com and save a whole bunch of money. The guys at Rugged Radios, we had a couple people ask about doing a communications episode. So I think we're going to actually try to pull it off. I think we're going to actually do it. So hopefully we have it in the next, 2 or 3 months. Like, the guys at Rugged are so freaking busy, man. They're doing all kinds of stuff with events and just so much fun stuff. And now that racing is getting back going again, those guys are going to be, meant for election, maybe going to Baja, all these different fun places.
Well, maybe we can lean on some of our guests that are in the pro ranks that do that stuff and are experts at it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. So we're definitely going to include all of these people during the time when we do have the show. But I think, like Wayne and Kristen Matlock, who we just had on the show, they're fantastic with communication.
They obviously know how to do it.
Yeah. Justin Smith at Shock Therapy, he's really good at it too. So we're going to lean on all those people. But I think it's just going to be an awesome, awesome time to be able to do a communications episode, because we'll have every single person that we know needs it, So especially
awesome.
Even we talked about it before. You need it now on the dual sports.
It would be cool, I think,
to be able to talk with each other.
It would, yeah.
So you can use the code DIRTLIFE at ruggederadios.com and pick up some stuff, save a whole bunch of money. They got a bunch of new products. And thank you very much, Lance, and everybody at Solderweld. You can get your Solderweld off-road repair kit and slam that in your vehicle, and make sure that you can bond metal if you guys have any breakdowns on the trail or during a race. You can use the code DIRTLIFE and save a whole bunch of money there too. So yeah, man, I think the communications would be super cool, because you've been riding your we'll call it enduro dual sport bike moto almost every weekend now, huh?
No, not every. I'm trying to keep it so it's fresh, right? So it's like not.
You don't get burnt out.
Yeah, there's so much going on in life at the moment. So I don't want to get burnt out. I want to look forward to it as much as I am right now. Let me put it that way. So it's been every 2 to 3 weeks, and it's all street legal now. So that was pretty cool. We parked at Jeremy Joie's house and did a little, ride down the street, and then to the area, did a bunch of single track, and then stopped by the restaurant and had some lunch. It was nice.
That is super cool, right?
Super fun. Yeah,
so
that's
you
a little
can go
different.
riding and you can have lunch.
How cool is that?
Perfect. Was it tacos or no?
No, it was burger, actually.
Oh, that's still good, though.
It was good.
It looks like Mac Mitchell had a comment in there, too, huh?
Yeah, Mac wants to know how to get Maxline involved in projects. That's awesome, Mac.
Yeah, let's definitely do that, Mac. I think you have either mine or Casey's contact information, so feel free to reach out anytime, man, and we'll get together with you for sure. So
and we won't duct tape you to the fence, I promise. That's a story for another time.
Is it?
Yeah.
That sounds like a pretty good story.
It's a great one.
So yeah, we want to start off the show by I don't know if this is going to be very interesting or not, but I have a feeling it is, because I went to Texas a week and a half ago, and I went out there to do some filming for the Texplex final round, where Hunter Miller, our last week's guest, won $40,000 of a championship bonus, which is super cool. But the real reason that I went out there was for a doctor's appointment, and they give me some tasks to do, some eye and brain therapy, right? And so you can probably relate to this good. So we have some visuals in the studio today for the people that are listening on iTunes, but we have a whole notebook, or whatever you want to call it, diagrams and stuff of how to do some of these eye exercises. And the reason I bring it up is not to be boring, but I think it could be super beneficial for any racer or any person that's driving a vehicle, riding a vehicle, because it's crazy how much it makes you focus.
Yep.
And it's weird how all of these different exercises actually show you how you can change your viewpoint quickly to be able to manage a situation. Like, let's just say you're on a trail and you're riding and somebody brake checks you, you can react quicker.
Yep. Or even traffic.
Yeah, exactly. It was crazy. So since I've been doing these exercises, and I think you've done some of them before too, Casey, it really honestly makes you rethink, like, why didn't I do this before when I was injured, so I'm doing it now. But before I had this injury, like, why didn't somebody tell me I could do this and make my brain and my eyes stronger?
Totally. So both of my daughters had some things going on with their eyes that normally they would just cut you and do surgery.
Right.
And we found some awesome therapists, and they did vision therapy for years.
Yeah.
And I started messing around with these two, doing, just because they were doing it.
Right.
And it's amazing because you start losing that stuff as you get older.
Yeah, it's really weird. So for people, like I said, that aren't watching on the live feed or aren't watching visually on YouTube, and maybe you're just listening on iTunes, Casey has a string in his hands, and on the string it has 3 different color marbles or balls, and so you focus on those things. So you put it out in front of you and you focus close, medium, and then far away,
Right.
and then you move your eyes back and forth, and you do it in a timely manner. Like most of the time, you just use like a metronome, like a clicker,
Right.
and then you speed it up or slow it down, and you can just like search for it on Google.
And that's your timing, right?
Yeah, that's your timing to
Right.
see, and it makes it so that you can start out at like, let's just say, I don't know, 60 beats per minute, and then you work up to like 120 or whatever.
Right.
And then so the office that I went to is a sports rehabilitation center in Dallas or Plano, and so they have like a normal person could be, and I don't know if this is the real case, but like let's just say 50 beats per minute. Well, an athlete could be 120 or 200.
Right.
So there's different qualifications for it. And so these things is what all started me thinking about this conversation, was because, dude, why aren't more racers and athletes doing this to improve their skill set?
Right.
And then so I have a pen in my hand, and this one, like, I did all these exercises. It took me about, 45 minutes or so this morning, and I have to do it 3 times a day. So that's like almost 2.5 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
But it really, really, like, I left doing the exercises and I tried to drive around, and it was difficult because all of the stuff that was reconnecting in my head from my eyes and the different brain paths that were, dude, I felt like somebody kicked me in the head. It hurt so bad.
Isn't that crazy?
It was bananas.
It is.
But
It's how you can rewire is so
so imagine
awesome.
if you break a leg and you lose all the muscle and it's atrophy, right?
Right.
And you have to, like, it hurts so bad when you're building it back up. That's what it felt like in my brain and my skull.
I agree.
And then so they gave you other exercises, like if again, if you're not watching, you can check it out. But I'm pulling a pen towards my face, and it kind of makes you go cross-eyed, but then you focus it outwards, and you do this, 10 repetitions or whatever at a certain speed. It's insane what it does to your body. And then they have moving exercises where you move your head and you follow these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's so crazy. And
This one, I think how we used to do it, the girls.
so you have the string and you have it kind of on your nose.
Put it on your nose, and then I think we used to tie it to something, maybe a door or something, or whatever you
just
could.
so it's far away.
Yeah, and then it was that same thing where you would look at the green, look at the red, look at the yellow
different
balls
color,
in the 3 different
segments or
distance.
steps. Yeah. Dude, it's so crazy, man. And like I said, I don't mean this segment to be boring on the show. I just think it's so awesome that these people, I didn't have one doctor in the past year and a half tell me about any of this stuff to fix my brain or my eyes.
Right.
And all of a sudden I find these guys. So I'm going to make sure that I give every possible opportunity to anybody that needs these kind of things.
Absolutely.
Throw it out there and see if anybody picks it up.
Here's what you do. It's just kind of a natural progression. So if you start doing this stuff, you start training yourself, like, to start thinking of how else I could do it.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're driving. This is what happened to me. You're just driving down the freeway or whatever, and you decide, hey, there's a telephone pole that's pretty far away.
Yeah.
So then you do that to your speedo, and then that to your radio.
Dude, I did the same thing.
See what I mean? It's just, I promise, it's just a natural progression. And then the next thing you know, you are like this on those kind of reactions. It works.
It really does. I did the same exact thing today too, man. So
funny.
first of all, I'm really excited about this for myself. Obviously, you guys can tell, but I didn't want anybody to lose out on it.
Right. No,
I didn't know about any of this.
Share it. Absolutely.
So I figured, why not share it?
I like Rory's idea, a little sidebar here. We need to do a day in the dirt life, or a dirt life day. There you go.
Ooh, that would be pretty cool. We're going to kind of be doing that.
Sponsors trail ride and barbecue. Love it.
Ooh, that would actually be super
Yeah,
cool.
it would.
Maybe we'll have to follow you along with you on your one of your moto rides. We'll get in the side by side and follow you guys.
Nice. That'd be cool.
Looks like we had some other people commenting in too, huh? We got. We're gonna have Myles Cheek calling in just a bit too, or actually Ryan Edwards, I think, is the first. So.
Right on. Yeah, Jeff's reminding us that the weather is changing. I agree with you. Ride's coming soon. It's not as hot. Yep.
Yeah, I definitely want to go riding soon. I think it'll be pretty cool to get everybody out there. We got Myles Cheek calling in, so let's see what he's got going on. Myles, what's going down, dude? How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
We're doing good, man.
Doing good, buddy.
We were just talking about what racers can do to make themselves better. I've been doing some brain and eye therapy lately because of my injury, but I feel like it would be amazing for like people that don't even have an injury to try it because they could focus so much better in their race cars.
Mm-hmm.
Some more hand-eye stuff?
Dude, it's crazy. Yeah, and it was at a Dallas like sports rehab place that I went to that does all this stuff. So I think it'd be amazing if some dude. How about this? How about I'll do it with you, secret, and then you will see how much faster you get.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'll take it.
So sweet, man. We really appreciate it. Yeah, exactly, right? Especially in the side-by-side class where everybody's spaced out like by like 0.2 seconds.
Oh, yeah. It's been getting so tight lately.
You've been doing really good, though, man,
Anytime.
especially at Wheatland. You really, dude, I was hoping that you would clean house all weekend and get the 1-1-1 score, but you won 2 races, and then I think Brock Heger, and then you got second in the other race, right?
Yeah, the goal was to win all of them, but Brock, it's so tough, like, especially racing against him. It's like whoever can get out in front of each other in the beginning of the race first. Because once we start racing with each other, like, I don't know, we've been racing with each other 12 years now.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, he's starting to learn more and more, like, what moves I like to throw at him. So he's, like, we just know each other so well now when we're racing against each other. It's, like, hard to pull some new tricks out.
Yeah, exactly.
Like for us old guys, it's spy versus spy. You remember that?
So it was still pretty cool to see that, though. And I really liked the whole, I don't know what you want to call it, but like the Ford versus Chevy battle where you have the Polaris versus Yamaha battle. I think it's super, super cool that you guys are doing that, man, and you stuck to your guns with the RS1.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's getting super competitive, and they got the manufacturer points going this year, too. So I got to try to do what I can and get the points up for them also.
So what's the racing been like with all of this 2020 BS that's been going on? Like, you guys have raced a little bit so far, and I just read something in an email that came through today that there's going to be 2 more race weekends for Lucas Offroad, and both of those weekends are going to be triple headers. So racing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, one at Glen Helen and one at Wild Horse Pass, kind of just like you did at Wheatland. What do you have to do in the points to make sure that you keep the lead or win the championship?
Just got to stay consistent. Thankfully, we haven't fell off the podium yet this year. So I think if we can stay on the podium for the rest of the year, keep qualifying well like we have, we should have it. But it's just like one race can ruin the whole thing, especially since the season's so short this year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So with the triple headers, like, on Friday, I was kind of thinking, like, don't want to push it too hard. Got to save the car for Sunday still. But once you're in the car on Sunday, you're still going all out.
Yeah, that's true, right? Like, you just want to make sure that you win every single race when you get in there. It's like that racer attitude.
Yeah, it's like you always plan on saving the car, but once you get in there, you just start driving.
They can go downhill so fast, too, with, like you said, 3 back-to-back.
Well, that's kind of what I was wondering.
back.
Like, how do you manage that, right? It sounds like he's doing it pretty simply, but I know a bunch of guys that went balls to the wall, like on Friday, not Myles, but other guys, and they like total blowouts, right? But they salvaged their weekend, but it made it so that they couldn't win the rest of the weekend. You know what I mean? They couldn't get on the podium. They could just drive around, basically.
Yeah, it seems like the play is to just be consistent, but that, just like Myles just said, it's so hard. You get in the car, it's a different story.
Especially when you have somebody that you've been battling with for 12 years
exactly.
on you.
Look what I can do. That's what you need to do. You need to get into his head. You don't want to see any points
slip away right in front of you either.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you guys been doing any different prep and stuff like that to make sure that you guys are executing on these triple headers?
My crew guy, Tim, he's the best in the business, I think. So it's honestly like very rare that mechanical problem happens. So it's really just as long as it's like not a tire going down, a disc breaking, something little like that. More of like something I would do while driving the car.
Yeah, so it's on you then.
Yeah, so I'm honestly like never really worried about the prep on it.
Yeah, that's super cool, man.
I got a lot of trust in Tim. So
how was it driving over to Wheatland this year?
Good, no blowouts. So made it there and back, no problem.
Did you guys have any tacos when you were up there? What'd you cook?
What did we do? I think we had some carne asada and some pollo on Saturday night.
Ooh.
Yeah, did some tri-tip Friday night. What else? And I think just like for lunches, just like burgers and brats, just simple stuff.
Dude, they went all out. I know, right? they ate better, and they were at the track.
No kidding.
It sounds like you guys had a pretty dialed. Hey, I was going to ask you, have you guys been doing any mini moto lately?
Nothing yet, just because it's been so hot up by my house.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. Arizona's been a pretty much a scorcher these last couple of days. It's been in the 80s, so we've been able to get out, ride our bikes and stuff.
Yeah, and like the rain helped us in the winter, but it made all the weeds grow so bad. So we got to go up there and chop some trees down, some bushes, move them out of the way.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, did you go to that Leverton Boys race where they had like a whole bunch of mini bike guys? I saw it on social media, and like for our audience that doesn't know, they race side by sides as well, but they had a massive side by side event. Or I mean mini bike event. It was badass, dude.
Nice.
Oh yeah, that thing looks so cool. I'm so bummed I didn't get to go, but next time they go, I'm for sure bringing my 140 out there.
Dude, yeah, I'm right there with you. It looks like it'd be so much fun to go out there. People were wadding it everywhere, too.
Oh, it was huge, too. So many people showed up.
Did they say how many people actually went there?
What was that? Sorry, you broke up.
Did they say how many people actually went there?
I haven't asked them yet.
Dude, it looked like a few hundred, like 150, 200 people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah,
that's a bunch, all on mini bikes.
Yeah,
nice.
I wonder what dude won. Like if it was a KLX 110 or if it was a CRF 110, because that's gonna make me want to get that bike.
Whichever one it is.
Yeah. Looks like we got a couple comments coming in, huh?
Yeah, Mac. Yes, Mad Magazine is old school. We are old, Mac.
I don't know what that actually means.
Mad Magazine. That's where Spy versus Spy. That was. For
that's what it was.
Reference. Yeah.
So, Myles, what was the track like in Wheatland? Because I went there in 2017, and so it's obviously didn't race last year, but it still looked like it had some huge senders on it.
Oh yeah, the track was perfect all weekend. I really like that track. It's more moto style, I guess. You got some high speed corners, and the jumps are a little bit more peaky. So that one tunnel jump's pretty fun. Just a little floater up and over, then a little 90 into the rhythm.
Yeah, you got to be on the freaking pedal, though, to get over that rhythm. Could you guys double through it, or do you have to pound through it?
Oh, no, we just bounced off the faces of them.
Yeah, so this was like, it's a pretty like tight left-hander into this rhythm section, so it'd be like a really short approach to a whoop section in Supercross where you have to just like get as much speed out of the corner as possible, like scrub all your entry speed to get all your exit speed.
Then just try to maintain.
Yeah,
get on top of them.
There's a lot of people that lose it in those sections though, because once you get like a 4-wheel vehicle sideways on those bumps, it'll like an RC car, it'll just like flip over, right?
Yep, right.
It's tough you just got to hit that thing square. Like as soon as you come off that thing, like side load it a little bit, then just the rest of the rhythm you're gonna be swapped out.
Yeah, exactly. How was that? In Wheatland they have that big. I don't know what you want to call it, the second turn, but it's like a big Talladega bowl turn. I know it was like super slick, but could you guys get a lot of speed from that? Because after that, there's a long straightaway, and then like, I don't know, 120 foot or 100 foot tabletop. Could you guys get a lot of speed and bust that jump?
Yeah, we were just getting as low as we could go. There was a little bit of fresh dirt still below the blue grooves. You just have to get like pretty close to the tires. So we were getting down in there, and like that was able to hold us just enough around the bottom. And I don't think running the top really you carry too much speed. I think you're just wasting a little bit too much time going around the track.
Yeah, that's a good point, and especially with the like the CVTs too, because you're already pretty much at max speed. So I don't know, like maybe the Yamahas that shift from 4th to 5th or something, you could get a little bit more, but Myles would already be.
Yeah, they might be able to get a little bit more out of it.
Could you guys do that next jump? Because that jump is massive.
I was like just clipping the little knuckle on it.
Ooh,
for landing.
That's scary though, dude.
But yeah, every once in a while I'd land it and get a little sideways, but it was weird. Like on Thursday practice, I was making it no problem. Friday I couldn't make it. Saturday I could, then Sunday I couldn't. So
that is weird. I wonder if it was just because the track was stickier.
Yeah, and like the face of the lip was a little bit slicker on Friday, I remember too. So we were just kind of spinning it, going up it a little bit.
How were the actual races? Like, were you guys battling, or was it like a whole shot and get away? Like, how was the competition and stuff?
Oh, on Friday, Brock was just on my back bumper pretty much the entire race. So he was just pressuring me the whole time. Then after the caution, I was able to get a 5-car lead or so. So I was able to stretch it out a little bit. And kind of relaxed on that last lap. But then Saturday, he got out to the lead, and I tried pushing on him, but finally got a little mistake out of him with 3 corners left to go. But I was just a little bit too far back to really capitalize on it.
Oh, man. How does it well, Casey, you can probably attest to this. Like, he's been battling with them for 12 years, right? So, like, how do you deal with something like that on the track since you know everybody's so good? Like, you almost, it feels like you would just want to stay in line, right? Until one of them makes a mistake. But what's the mind game that you would play?
That's how like in the RC world, that's what they're doing.
In the RC car stuff?
Yep, definitely. Like, if let's say it's an hour-long main event or something, that's a little different because you're expecting mistakes.
But it's the same concept?
But when it's that sprint, then then those guys, they've all raced each other for so long. So unless you know you've got something up your sleeve, like same thing in moto, right? You know you've got a section that the guy in front of you doesn't know about, and you wait to pull the trigger to the last second.
Oh, or
that kind of thing.
Or like Myles is talking, like just put a whole bunch of pressure and try to force him into a mistake.
Totally.
Where was the areas that you could try to push on him to make a mistake? Like maybe in those like little tight sections and stuff, Myles, or what's the game plan when you go out there?
Like I had a better run through turns 1 to 3. Then once we got on that back straightaway, he was able to gap me a little bit.
Oh.
So my goal was to try to get him before that straightaway and try to keep him behind me.
Mm-hmm.
But couldn't make it happen. Then finally going through I was just waiting for anything really. But we were going through the rollers and going through that corner. He picked it up on 2 wheels a little bit. So I got just to the bottom of him, but then it set me up for the outside and the next 2 hairpins, or for the first part of it. So I just couldn't get the run that he got on the bottom. So I just couldn't get back to his door to block him in the next corner.
That actually brings up a good point. Like for moto dudes, because like when you were just talking right now, I was thinking to myself like, okay, you just like set them up and take an inside line and go, right? Well, off-road is way different because you have to do like 2-3 corners and think way ahead. It's like chess instead of just like checkers and jump, right?
Right. Yeah, you can't just throw your
like
body
you want to
in there.
rotate the car like a bike.
Right.
Yeah, I just turned that thing all sharp, but it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it makes your whole well, you said the Cooper Webb, like your racecraft.
Yeah, he's so awesome at that.
So it makes then that's I feel like Myles is like talking the same game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you know what your competition is going to do, and how do you know? Well, you raced them for 12 freaking years.
And how long were those lap times, Myles?
We were running 122s, I think.
So how frustrating is it that when you know you've got your section and then you blow it and then you're like, damn, I have another minute to think about it to try to do it again. You know, like that's what's so crazy about what you were saying with training your eyes and your brains and stuff. Like having mental toughness is not just like being tough and like, I can mind over matter and, pain, whatever. It's not that. It's like, it's that thinking too. Like it's so.
Well, because you have to calculate all that, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's so much. It's so crazy what goes on in a racer's brain, I guess, put it that way.
Okay, so we can like make that go full circle then, like with the stuff that I was talking about training your brain and your eyes and your vision with these techniques and therapies, man.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's bananas. I'll have to show them to you, Myles, because it's crazy how much it actually works. I did a bunch of these eye therapies and brain therapy exercises this morning, and man, like the whole rest of the day, it felt like my head was like, when you have like a broken arm or a broken leg and your like muscles hurt when you're building them back up. That's what my head felt like.
Okay.
So it's crazy how much these therapies actually like train your brain to like work faster and work better. It's like, it's bananas. And I know exactly what a lot of these top athletes are doing. Like I guarantee Ken Roxon, when he came back, like when he doing all that Red Bull stuff, I guarantee he was going through a lot of these same therapies.
I'm sure.
Because he wasn't riding his bike.
Right. And if your body's full of, you have senses that are making things work, like that's your input to your machine.
Yep.
And if any one of those is down, well, then you need to make the other ones better. I mean, it's actually really simple, but it's something that we overlook, I think, so often.
I think so too, yeah. And that's what I think the whole mental, like, that's why I was so intrigued by what Myles was saying, is he's thinking 3 corners ahead and he's got all these different things going on, right? Well, why don't you just finish that off by making your brain work a little bit better and quicker? So maybe, and I'm not saying that Myles could have done this, but maybe in that instance that he got up on the bike and he could have pulled under, maybe if he had a little bit like a split-second reaction quicker, he could have actually darted underneath a little bit faster.
Right.
So who knows if it would work, man? I just think it's such a crazy thing to think about.
It's pretty awesome, really.
Well, dude, I'm so stoked for you that you did so well at Wheatland, man. You made the trip worth it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Thank you.
What's the next stuff that you guys have going on? Are you going to be going on any trail rides or enjoying any of the weather before you go out to these last 2 Lucas rounds?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to hit the river next weekend too. Not gonna do Crandon this year, unfortunately, but just that Lucas race after it was coming up pretty close, and I've been focused on the championship this year. Just don't want a little thing to happen, carry over to us to Arizona. So just try to keep the car fresh and go over there and keep chipping away at that points lead.
Yeah, I like that mindset too, because you're thinking ahead. Billy Nichols commented in and said, Myles' game plan is to pretty much kill it all the time.
and he's
That's pretty much it.
And he's not trying to win it in the first turn, Mac.
Oh, is that what he said?
Yeah.
Well, I
prison
think
rules.
I think. Well, I still think that there's a lot of value getting like to win it in the first turn in side by sides, but like you got to think a little bit more like racecraft, like Myles is thinking too. Like don't blow it in the first turn.
Yeah, exactly.
But try to win it to the first turn, because otherwise, if you're, it sounded like Myles was saying, like if you're just on his back bumper the whole race, it's going to be really, really difficult to pass unless they make a mistake.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like getting like a good start now is like becoming like pretty crucial in the side-by-side class. Like back a little bit where like you could be easy and just like stay in the spot you started pretty much, but especially racing against Brock, like he picks off 3 or 4 guys by the time we're in the second corner when we're starting in 6th. So like he's pushed me really to start getting back on it off the start. So as much as I want to conserve on it, if something's open, I just have to take it now.
Right.
Dude, it's like full supercross and motocross now. Like whoever hole shots wins kind of thing.
Yeah, but they're masters of their craft, so it's not like that whole comment that racers have always said. It's more about like, don't be stupid in the first corner.
Yeah, don't lose it in the first.
Like to Miles's point, you're making those decisions quickly because you know your skill level. It's not like, oh, just go and don't lift and let someone else stop you. You know what I mean? Like use the next car for the berm. That's not what we're talking about. It's get off the line quickly, like you said, and look for that split second.
If something opens up, take it. But
agreed.
Never try to push someone out of the way or anything.
Right, exactly.
I just think this side-by-side racing is getting so intense. Like anytime anybody leaves or has to excel at side-by-sides, they're going to be so awesome at driving.
Totally.
All right, man. Hey, we gotta hit the road because we got Ryan Edwards of KMC Wheels calling in. But dude, I'm so stoked. I'm gonna see you guys at Wild Horse when you guys come out. So we'll hang out.
Oh, you got it. And thanks for having me on, guys. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, we're stoked, man. Thank you very much for coming on and joining us. Have an awesome rest of your week, and please tell the family we said hello.
You got it, guys. Thank you.
Yep.
Later. That's so cool to hear that. Like, it gets me excited to talk about that racecraft stuff because it's so interesting to me to see, like, the mindset of each individual racer, right? Like, don't you wish you could have known what their mindset was when you were racing them?
For sure.
So, we didn't get to talk with Myles about that little secret project that we have, but he's going to probably give us some tips and tricks. So we'll talk about it a little bit next week when we have a little bit more time. It's going to be a really, really fun project, man. I wish I could talk about it a little bit more, but I want to release a video maybe tomorrow or, I don't know, Thursday, and we'll have a little bit of fun with it. So
cool.
Please pay attention to it. Guys, I'm sorry I can't talk about it right now, but it's going to be a super, super fun project for all of you guys. Man, to think about, we should ask Ryan when he comes on the difference in compared to short course racing, like Myles is talking, to what he just did, a night race in the desert. Like how much different that is, because you definitely don't win it in the first turn in that, right?
For sure.
So what's the mindset behind that compared to like a short course race, right? And I wonder, like when you see like stuff coming up, like your peripheral vision and different things like that, they come up and trees are passing by you and stuff. If the vision stuff would help with that.
I would I would think so.
Yeah, I do
You
too.
would have to.
Ryan Edwards, what's up, man? How are you?
Good. How you guys been?
Good.
Dude, yeah, we've been doing pretty good, man. Casey's been hitting up some dual sport rides, so he's been making me jealous, that's for sure.
Damn, lucky.
I know, right? You still got your dual sport bike?
Yeah, she's sitting there ready for it to cool down and get out.
Yeah, man, that'd be super cool. I can't wait till we all have dual sports and we can go riding together. Is that like an old man thing to say? Like,
For sure.
I'm into it nowadays.
Yep.
I've been hearing a bunch of dudes that are super into it too, and like the social media stuff that I've been seeing, like with dudes with their dual sports, like and these little projects they have, I kind of feel like it's gaining a little bit of popularity.
Yeah, it's definitely changed from an old man sport to like a mid-age, changing from motocross to dual sport.
Right.
All right, thanks. At least we're in the transitionary period. We're not all the way there.
Yeah.
Old and
It
older.
definitely works.
Old and older.
All right, man. Well, hey, we appreciate you calling in for sure. So how did this stuff come about? Like we let our audience know a little bit about what you were doing. So you built a Polaris Turbo. I don't know exactly which car it is. You can expand on that, but and you're going and doing some racing now, huh?
Yeah. No, luckily, when my whole marketing plan with KMC is to get back to racing, and you can't solidify that without an actual race car. So my boss let me take one of the Turbo S's we had and turn it into a stock UTV to go race. And it's just been a passion of mine to, brand the company or the brand towards racing, and using that car for it has been a major part of it.
Yeah, that's super cool. And, well, I already know this, but Casey might not actually know this, and maybe some of our audience doesn't know it. But so the reason that the way that I actually met Ryan was he actually got a Yamaha YXZ and started building it out, like when the YXZs first came out. So we had some communication online and stuff with when that stuff happened. But he was always a brand manager for a wheel company, and now he switched to KMC, obviously. But it was super cool to see because he's always been into racing, right? And
yeah,
so he's done it a bunch, and now he's able to do that with the company that he's operating, KMC, or brand manager for KMC.
Right.
So it's super, super cool to see all those things come. I don't know, like funnel down into being like all one thing. It's like I can't see like how awesome would it be to have a job that all that stuff funnels into one piece. Like,
yeah, pretty cool. Definitely.
It's pretty rad to like work your whole career into around racing, and now like it comes full circle to where I am racing for the brand, and just to get the exposure like I think the brand needs. So having that whole, I mean, I've worked my whole life to just be a racer, and it wasn't in the cards back when I was a teenager, but nowadays it's coming to where I can go race and get paid to do it.
That's super, super cool. How do you think people feel like, so UTVs were the golf carts, right? Now they're gaining a lot of popularity. Yeah. So when you talk about like being a racer, and so like relating to other people that you sponsor, like let's just say Bryce Menzies, for instance, when you're in a trophy truck, it's a little different game, right? Like, so you're the badass on the field, especially when you have a 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive trophy truck that just murders the desert.
Mm-hmm.
What is it like when you're saying, like going up to him and talking to him and being like, well, yeah, you know what? I still, am out here in the desert doing it with you guys. Like, how does that relate?
Honestly, nowadays with how fast the cars are going, how much suspension travel there is, they're just as stoked on it as they are getting into their trophy trucks. I mean, I have a few friends and stuff that race trophy trucks or Class 1 cars, and they get so stoked to go out and take the cars out and then enter a small race because it's no pressure. I mean,
yeah,
we all can go to a Polaris store and buy an axle, buy a belt, and make it happen to where, with their trophy truck parts, they can't keep running them. So, buying a new transmission isn't just at the local dealership. So it makes it easy to fulfill that racing want without having to spend 20, 30, 40 grand on just prepping the car.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's so cool, man. Especially like what Ryan said, you can buy wheels for it. You can get all the same stuff that the factory drivers use, like same offsets, like same tires, everything.
Right. it's crazy. And nowadays, like I said, the car I'm racing, I mean, luckily IMG bolted on a bunch of the safety stuff they have. And, you know, there's nothing fancy about the car I'm driving, and it feels like you're in a trophy truck out there. It just eats those whoops alive. So it's pretty cool to like see that, where before, you know, people were building rhinos, chopping them up and trying to build it into a trophy truck. Well, now we're just trying to race stock razors and go have fun.
Dude, I agree with that for 100%. And like our project that we have coming up in the next few days here that we're going to start talking about definitely does that too. How was it? Like, you just built like you had a stock razor and you guys just threw a bunch of bolt-on stuff and then went out and raced?
Yeah. So we luckily the DP4 series, I got to tell everyone out there, like, you guys got to get out there and try it. If you're in SoCal, want to race, those guys are doing it right. We just put on all the necessary safety stuff, did the Zebras front arms, we did full doors with nets, you know, a nice seat. I threw in the IMS auxiliary tank, which adds like 4 gallons.
Oh, cool.
But other than that, it's a stock Turbo S with a little heavier spring rate so we can run it harder through the whoops. And man, went racing. And honestly, other than some power steering issues before the race even started, I had a flawless race, and it was so much fun and so relieving to know that I can race a car with that kind of platform without having to spend $20,000 on just, you know, building a chassis or something.
That's so cool, man. Well, and also you forgot to mention, I think you might know a guy that could have hooked up wheels and tires for that thing too.
Yeah. Obviously the EFX tires and KMC wheels come into play real quick.
That is so cool, though. Okay, so I got 2 questions then. First of all, I want to know like what the car's capabilities were, but maybe you could preface that question by telling us a little bit more about the DP4 series, because it sounds super cool.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, I've raced every kind of series there is, from Score to Works to Best in the Desert to Short Course. I mean, I've never shown up to a race and felt like, all right, these dudes are like into it. And then once we got on the course, you can have my co-driver Kyle Melville, he even said, like, I've never raced a race where I didn't even need to look at the GPS.
Wow.
Like, it was cool. Marked so well.
That's pretty
and it was
sweet.
25-mile loop. So, and we were racing at night. Like, I felt like we were racing a dirt bike track. Like, it was so perfectly laid out, and they had people standing at the major turns. Like, that's what I suggest anyone that wants to get into desert racing needs to go race one of those, because it'll really open your mind up to how well, you know, these things can go.
That is super cool. And plus, when you say that there's that many people on course and stuff, the safety means that it's way, way better out there too, because you can have people out there quicker.
Yeah, it was cool to see, like, you know, you think a night race, you're going to be like the only person out there. Well, you know, you get at some of these major road crossings or major, you know, 90-degree turns, they have a flagger, a guy with a flashlight or a cone just flagging you, making you turn. So it was really refreshing, and it allowed you to focus on the race rather than the navigation.
Dude, that is super cool. And plus, well, you have experience, but like if it's for a beginner, like that would be insanely cool.
Yeah, that'd be huge.
100%. Yeah, like I went into it thinking like, shit, I don't have a GPS, I don't have this. And then like I kind of got there and I got the feeling that, like, yeah, we don't give out GPS coordinates. I'm like, what? Like, that doesn't make sense. And then once I started racing, I'm like, oh, this is why they don't. It's marked so well.
That's super cool, man. So they definitely do their homework. It'd be nice if the guys from the UTV World Championship, the Martelli brothers, did some of that stuff, or maybe elevated their game up a little bit, because they have the opportunity to do it now. So it'd be cool if we could.
Yeah, no, and the cool part is I didn't have to go spend $700 on a GPS. Like, you know, when we go race Mexico, that's GPS is life, but it was just nice to just show up and not worry about that kind of thing, where we needed to pre-run and everybody's on the same playing field. Like, it was super fun.
It sounds super cool. The only thing that I've ever done that was remotely close to that was there's a series in Arizona called AZOP, and it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
They do an abbreviated desert course where it's like what Ryan said, like he's 23 miles. I think maybe this one was 20 or something. But you didn't really need GPS, and you didn't have as many people as what he's talking about on course. But that was super, super cool, because we drove, like, his car was like a rocket ship compared to ours. We drove literally a bone stock YXZ.
Cool.
And I remember we went out there, and not that this matters for Ryan, but we went out there, and my co-driver was Brian Lopez was my crew chief, and he was the co-driver. He's a big dude. We tipped it over in a berm, like a dirt bike berm, and we kind of high-sided it up on the berm. And so he just jiggled around a little bit, moved his weight, and we popped down back on 2 wheels and took off.
Nice. That's perfect.
And I definitely hear people say that the AZOP races is way similar to the DP4. Like, it's just arrive and get out there.
It's super cool. I love those types of series, man, and that's why I want to get your opinion on the DP4 stuff, because we've been talking a lot about people chiming in at the Dirt Life show, like, how do I get into racing, or how do I get an entry-level race car? Like, what do I got to do? So it's made us really think about how to communicate with people and let them know, and this is a perfect opportunity.
And I think people definitely think the only way they can race is go to Best in Desert or Score and race the top class. Like, honestly, I had more fun doing what I did Saturday night than racing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love racing in Mexico, but it was more just about racing Saturday night rather than everything else going on around me.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Like, if we want to relate it in like a moto term, like you go to your local track and you race against all your buddies, it's way more fun than having all the pressure to go to a motocross national or something, because that's like
100%.
That's like all business all day.
$300, $400 to enter. You're not stressed out to get the $2,000 to go race in Mexico or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, how did your guys' race go? Maybe you could take us through it a little bit, because it sounds like that car was pretty much just bolted on and go, like you said.
Yeah, no, I went and tested it on Tuesday in Barstow, and car was running flawless. Went to load up Friday night, and something happened to the power steering, so it locked up. I'm like, shit, I was stressing all night about that. We tried fixing it Saturday morning and couldn't get it fixed. So we pulled the fuse on the power steering and ran the whole race with no power steering.
Oh,
but yeah, my hands are killing me right now.
So what's that?
Show?
Well, just imagine arm pump like times two.
Yeah.
So how was it?
Yeah.
Like, were you just like Hulk Hogan holding that thing there together, or what?
It was motocross arm pump times like 100, but luckily Kyle, my co-driver, he had raced a older Can-Am back in the day with no power steering, so he had first-hand knowledge of it. But he's like, dude, you're overthinking it. Like, don't hold on too tight. Let the steering wheel like kind of do its thing. Because at first I was fighting it, and because there's no dampening, you get all the feedback in the steering wheel. And it was kind of funny because once the course actually got rough and there was some ruts, I'm like, oh shit, like you can actually turn it now, because it was actually following the ruts instead of me trying to like fight it through the corner.
It sounds kind of like one of those little electric track cars that you played with when you were a little kid. Like you just go around the track.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Just get in the rut and just let the 4-wheel drive do its thing.
Or at Disneyland when you were a little kid and you swore you were driving until you hit that rail. Oh, I guess I'm not really driving.
Autopia, yeah. So funny. But yeah, no, it was fun. I mean, we started 30th, I think 13th in class, and we got second in class and 12th overall. So for no power steering, we actually had a good race.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like you were moving.
Yeah, it felt good, and my lap times were consistent. Like, I think I ranged 38 to 40 minutes on all 5 laps.
Dude, that's super cool. Do you have anything to track? Because like in short course, we would use it's called Lit Pro, and it's basically a GPS tracker, so we could track our laps and the fast lines and stuff like that, and we can track them against other people. Do you guys use anything like that?
Well, so what we did, which was cool, since the Turbo S, it was the Dynamics edition with the GPS and everything. We, the first lap, we just set it to mark, and then we were able to follow that line and kind of like remember where our shortcut lines were and stuff like that. Because the later the night got, man, the dust just sat, so it was like a wall of dust the whole track. So, dude, being able to at least mark our course and know where we were, like that helped out a ton.
All right, so we were talking about like getting your brain and everything like to the next level to be a better racer, right? Well, that is another way to do it too. Like you can't. They don't give GPS layout files. Well, you just mark it on the first lap, and now you got your own.
Yeah.
So how cool is that? The Polaris already has.
You kind of just tracked your own thing, and
dude, that's sweet.
The nice part was remembering where that little little cheater line or that little quick line, you know, to cut a corner or something here and there. And it gives you that sense of, okay, I know where I'm going now. And especially when you're in the dust, you can kind of just run it a little harder.
Yeah, that's super cool. And plus those, Casey, I don't think you've ever raced out in the desert or done anything like that, but those cheater lines that Ryan's talking about are so awesome. Like,
for sure.
That's where the co-driver comes in. Like, again, the AZOP race that we did, I've only done one of them, so I don't have that much experience. But Brian Lopez was like, hey, go between that bush right there. We made this like secret line, no bumps, nothing. And then we had like 10 more miles an hour going into a whoop section.
Right. That's perfect.
That's the best feeling in the world when you know you're coming up to a section that sucks, and then you're like, shit, there's this line about 20 feet from here that's smooth as butter. Like, it's the best feeling.
Yep, it's like going in Supercross and finding a whoop section and then knowing that the right side is like way faster and you just nail it past like two dudes.
And nobody else knows. It's perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
So good.
Dude, so it sounds like that race just went pretty smooth. What's the next plan for you? Like, obviously you got to fix the power steering, but you going to race again?
Yeah, no, the big plan was to get at World Championships. I kind of signed up for the DP4 race just thinking, all right, we'll go and at least shake the car down. And then it turned into, all right, we're going to go out and actually race it. So we did it. And then now, just get it prepped and get it wrapped and get it to the World Championships and do it big there.
Dude, that'd be so cool, man. And I'm stoked that I'm going to be able to at least hang out with you guys at UTV World Championship. We'll talk about it more this week with our audience and our social media. So it'll be cool to both have something to look forward to in the next month here.
Oh yeah, put our minds to it, and then when we show up to World Championships, we should do a big pit party or something.
Dude, that'd be super cool. I'd like to see if we can get Casey out there too one of these years and see if he could come hang out with us. I know he's got a lot of work and stuff.
He just likes sitting on the couch and talking about it.
Dude, he's honestly doing it way more. Like, he makes me feel like I'm a freaking wussy because he's been like, he went out in 113 the other day, did a road bike ride. He's been doing dual sport.
Never mind, Casey wins.
I know. He's making us like workaholics look like sissies over here. But he definitely hasn't been in the side-by-side game as long as you have or myself. But I'd like to see if we could get him out there. I wanted him to come over.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think the World Championships would be a perfect time to get him out there because it's got everybody in the industry out there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's in Havasu, so he could just come out for the day and then cruise back or whatever.
Yeah, that's cool.
It'll be
there
sweet,
you go.
man. All right, homie. Well, I really appreciate you giving us a buzz today and letting us know how the race went. It was really cool hearing all that stuff and seeing it on social media. So if you guys are interested and want to check it out, the car that Ryan built, you guys can look at it on I think it's Rhino RYNO 134 on Instagram, and you can also look at the KMC UTV page. So it's at KMC UTV, and check it out because the little setup that he's got is super, super cool, man. I can't wait to see that thing in person at the UTV Worlds.
No, thanks, guys, and thanks for having me on. This was awesome.
Dude, always a pleasure, man. I really appreciate it. I'll hit you up in the next couple days here. We can get our little secret project going, and we can share it with our audience.
Sounds good, man. Talk to you guys later.
Later, man.
Bye.
Dude, I always love talking to him because he's got so much he's always so amped, right? Like,
yeah.
And
he's a fan of motorsports.
Yeah.
And he lives it. So
that's what I mean, for good reason, right?
Yeah.
So it's super cool. It's super cool to talk with him. And plus the things that he's doing to help everybody else. Mm-hmm. How cool is it that he gets to help himself now?
Yeah. Pretty sweet.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Give himself a little bit of a taste of what everybody else is going through. And he's completely right when he says to put himself in the same group or on the same level as all the other racers that he supports, because he's been doing it his whole life, right? But now he can do it with them.
Mm-hmm.
So
right,
it's really cool. All right, so we have a really fun story that we're going to talk about in a little bit here. Dustin Nelson is our featured guest tonight. He's a awesome racer. He's pretty much lived motorsports his whole life, and he still lives it on a daily basis. So we can't wait to talk with him. We're going to have him just a little bit here. We're going to go to commercial break, and we'll be right back with Dustin Nelson.
Hello, I'm Justin, the founder of Shock Therapy. Shock therapy has been around for 5 years, but we have personally been tuning suspension on off-road cars and race vehicles for over 25 years. We tune between 10 and 15 cars per day, every single day of the week. Our concentration is tuning shock systems and supplying components that improve the ride quality of your car in many ways. Not only do we work on the average UTV, but we also tune suspension for race teams and professional drivers. We currently tune for over 87 race teams in Best in Desert and Score. Our clients and race teams rely on our suspension components to allow them to win races and keep them safe. Suspension is a moving target. We are always trying to hit that target with every customer that we work with. Each customer's needs can be different, and we tune our kits accordingly. Our research and development never stops. We improve our components every single day. As the industry evolves and improves, so do our parts and kits. As of right now, we have over 100 products for UTVs. So when you bring your car to us, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you have the most experience, the highest quality products, and the fact that your car is being tuned specifically to you.
Zollinger Racing builds the best aftermarket products available. Products for your UTV or snowmobile, including billet radius rods, billet tie rods, billet steering knuckles, billet steering racks, alternator kits, and much more. All manufactured in the United States in-house at their headquarters in Nibley, Utah. Travis Zollinger and his team test in some of the most brutal conditions, racing in places like the Best in the Desert Mint 400, Ultra 4 King of the Hammers, UTV World Championships, and many more. Visit ZollingerRacingProducts.com and use the code DIRTLIFE to get 10% off your next purchase, and join us on social media at Zollinger Racing Products to see our products in action. Zollinger Racing, the best products, period. Finally, we got Lance from Solderweld in the studio. Thanks for coming down, bud. Hey, why don't we just record a commercial now?
Yeah, why not? So good to be here, man. It's been a lot. I'm trying to get down here forever, and I wanted to talk about the off-road kit.
Dude, I love those things. I got it in my pack.
Yeah, we're running hundreds of vehicles now running them, whether it's a UTV or some guy's got it in a backpack on his motocross. He's got everything he needs to make a fix right there on the fly, out on the trail, or in the desert, whatever it is.
Well, since I've already used one, I kind of know what to use it for, but explain what it does.
All right, so let's pull one out real quick. You've got your aluminum rods. Remember, they're rods, right? So, light torch, small torch. You can throw it in there or throw it on the rig with your flux. It decontaminates and cleans like let's say a radiator. You get a random rock chip runs through as you're racing. You get a rock chip in a radiator. You got to fix it right there, or you're out of the race.
You can patch it up
You can patch it up. It's all good to go.
Yep, just like welding.
Yeah. Also, as well with that, you've got a brake line fix. So with your flux, you can fix a brake line, stainless steel. And then your hop lock, heat absorption putty. So it keeps you from getting burned, number one, as well as keeps the heat from traveling. So it's really nice.
I've used this not even to fix anything, so that stuff works so good, man.
Listen, it's easy. It straps in nicely so that you have everything you need in one little place, and you don't have to carry a big bag in
It's like a first aid kit for your vehicle.
Yeah, chase trucks have it as well, so that if they need to make a fix on the fly, they can get it done and get it done quick and get you back in the race.
Dude, those things are so cool. All right, so it's at Solderweld on Instagram, Facebook, and solderweld.com.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, bud.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Welcome back to episode 54 of the Dirt Life Show. We are stoked to have you guys here tonight. We can't wait to see what kind of interaction we get with our featured guest, Dustin Nelson. Dustin is a very accomplished racer. He's a side-by-side racing champion. He's a quad racing champion. He's won a lot of amateur stuff on motocross. He reached a professional level as well. He's even done some off-road truck stuff like a pro light, and he's been a test rider for Yamaha for a very long time, as well as doing now some, they call it covert camera stuff. So it's basically like the guys that operate the cameras on electric bikes or whatever it is to follow stunt driving and stuff like that in the movies. So it's pretty awesome to see what motorsports has provided for Dustin in his life and his career. So welcome Dustin Nelson to the show.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, we're stoked to have you on, dude. It's awesome to see, because we talk about it all the time. Casey and I grew up riding dirt bikes together, but it's rare to see that we've actually been on the track or at the same track as one of our guests, and you've done that with some of the early motocross stuff that we've done at Verona Oaks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if you've raced anything dirt anywhere in your life, I've probably raced against you at some point.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, if you guys put time in at Verona, then I was there. I mean, that was my home track growing up, and started racing there when I was 6 years old on dirt bikes. And really, it was a home base until I was 17 and pro. I would still go there on weekends. I wasn't racing just for the practice days, just because it was a good track and it was close by. But yeah, I've spun quite a few laps at Verona for sure.
That's super cool. And
did you ever do it in a side hack?
A side hack? No.
Okay, man. I don't know that we're ever going to find anybody but Verona definitely has had a following of that, of the freaking.
They had a side hack race out there?
I think they've had multiples.
Really?
I think that not like a side hack specific race, but back in the days, I think if you showed up with a monster truck at CMC Golden State,
okay, yeah,
they would create a class for you.
That's a good point.
So there must have been a few side hacks that were following the Golden State around, and yeah, I do remember them racing at Verona. It was, 5 or 6 quads, 3 side hacks, and then 500 dirt bikes.
Yeah, totally. That's funny. Maybe it was for contingency.
Dude, I love reminiscing about this memory lane stuff. So, one thing that I remember about all this stuff is Casey's always had a good relationship with his dad, taught us a whole bunch of stuff with riding. But Dustin Nelson, he calls his dad Pops, but his dad went every single race with him, too. My dad,
I remember.
The whole dirt life had started young with all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Pops is what, obviously he got me into riding and racing. He was, just a motorcycle enthusiast growing up and raced a little bit in his late teens. And he broke his neck. He was intermediate and broke his neck. And, not bad enough to be severely injured, but bad enough to make him be like, oh, maybe I'm not going to keep doing this, hardcore. So, but I was lucky, man. My family was just desert enthusiasts when I grew up. I had my first Honda ATC 70 at 2 years old. I got my first PW 50 when I was 6 years old.
PW.
And it's just actually for me, it was a crazy circumstance that got me into racing motocross. When I was 6 years old, my family was at the desert and just kind of a freak deal, but we were burning trash before we left the desert. And my dad went to pour some lighter fluid on the fire, and it followed up to the can and blew the can out of his hand. Well, the fireball hit me in the face. I was 6 years old, and I had second and third degree burns all over my face and the backs of my hands. So doctor's orders were I couldn't go in direct sunlight for a year, but I loved riding my dirt bike. And so lucky for me, Verona Oaks, you guys were there. It was, the whole pit area was covered in these oak trees.
Yep.
Yeah.
So my dad started taking me, after a few months of recovery, obviously, started taking me to Verona Oaks, and that's how I started racing dirt bikes. I mean, before that, we were just desert enthusiasts, but I got my start because Verona was covered in oak trees. All my, my mom has some old pictures of me around the pit area with a bandana covering everything but my eyes and a cowboy hat covering my head so no sun could get on me.
Dude, that's just when you have your helmet on, no sun's going to get to you.
Racing was
therapy.
Yeah. How cool is that? He was prescribed racing therapy.
Pretty much, right?
Kind of. That's so awesome.
Yeah. But, you guys know racing, it's like a sickness. So once I started, I couldn't get it out of my system. And,
that's for sure.
And here I am now. I'm 42 and still trying to do it whenever I can.
Dude, that's such a cool story, man. And so we've known each other, all of us have known each other or about each other for a long, long time, and I never ever knew that.
Yeah, you got to dig deep for that one. That's that's the thing about racing our whole lives. There's so many stories that pop up here and there, and then like you can't ever tell them all, right? Like you'd be there forever. So it's funny how random ones pop up here and there. But yeah, that's how I got started on dirt bike racing, and motocross was crazy. 6-year-old kid with a burnt face.
That's really cool that he brings that up, though, is because that's exactly why we started this show, is to understand and get some more of the backstories, like, behind people. Like, we always say, like, you really think you know somebody by either looking at them on social media or seeing them at the track or as a racer, right? But do you really know them? No. Like, you can get a lot more backstory by actually just sitting down and having a conversation with them. So it's super cool. So you were super young when that happened. Like, how did you feel? Like, you get out to the track and you're just like, wow, this is like a playground, the bigger playground than I could ever imagine.
Yeah, all I can remember is just being immediately super competitive. Like I wanted to win. I was known as a kid that just held her wide and went for it all the time. Crashed my brains out here and there, but right away I was just I was super competitive. I had tried Little League and team sports when you're 7 and 8 years old. I just wasn't into it. Like, I was like, dude, I'm trying my butt off, and, our third baseman's, playing in the dirt. So I wanted to win. And I immediately liked racing because I was like, well, this is just me. I'm the one putting in the effort.
Yep.
I mean, it probably took me a long time to realize that a lot of it was like Pops working on the bikes and making sure we were prepared going and footing the bill. But, as a kid, I was like, well, if I try hard, then I got a good chance of winning. I don't have to depend on 8 other kids to pull me through, So that's why racing stuck so hard with me.
So Casey mentions that on a constant basis on the show, is that racing really does develop that way, right? But you're a good spokesman for motorsports and stuff now, because I've never, ever seen you take a trophy or a podium interview without thanking everybody and understanding all the work that they put in. But I think Dustin's right, though, right? Like, it starts as a mentality where you're like, yes, all of the responsibility is on me. And you really grow with that. And you take it and you really cultivate it, and then you become a good racer with it, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think that's something I've always liked. It's at the end of the day, like, whether it was racing dirt bikes or quads or, being behind the wheel of the car, we would go through, say, a Lucas race and Elizabeth's in my ear the whole time talking me through everything. But, if I made a bad mistake or a bad decision, in the end, she could tell me all she wants to, but in the end, I have to make the final decision, right? So I always kind of like that in the end, it's on you, I kind of like that pressure and that side of it where, hey man, if you want this, you have to perform. And if you make a mistake, it was your fault,
How does that, because we always like understanding this as talking to people that we interview and stuff, but how has that changed the way that you look at, we'll call it the grown-up life, right? So you go and get a job, or you have these you have these different things where you have to work with teams, but you're still the driven individual that you are. So maybe you could take us through some of maybe either a covert situation where you're operating a camera and you have to work with a team to be able to execute, but the responsibility still lies on you, or maybe a test rider situation that you go through with Yamaha.
Yeah, I think the racing mentality has stuck with me. I have had the regular jobs through my life, but not for like a lifelong deal. I've kind of needed to make some extra money while I was racing, and then, that working hard and working a regular job kind of moved me to the next level to where I could be like, okay, I'm making enough from racing now that I don't need that anymore. So it's, that mentality has motivated me enough to where I've never really wanted that quote unquote regular job. But you're still in a team atmosphere at times, with what I do with Yamaha. Obviously, I'm a test rider for them. I'm just an outside contractor. I've been testing dirt bikes for Yamaha since 1999, so over 20 years now. And, when we're out there, when I ride the bike, it's just me on the bike, but my job is to make that bike as good as I can possibly make it for production, for the public, whoever's going to buy the thing. And we have to work in a team of usually 3+ riders to find the best settings that we can all agree on, or, come to some sort of agreement that this is the best way to move forward. So there's definitely that team environment. And then, you're working with the engineers as well. And then on the other side of what I'm doing more these days with the covert camera vehicles, then we're on commercial, movie, TV show sets. And, that's a big team effort. There's so many people involved with, cameramen and directors, stunt coordinators, the other stunt people that you're working with that might be driving the chase vehicles. So it's a massive team effort. But one thing that I really enjoy about it is it really reminds me of a race situation. A lot of times we're very specialty vehicles. We're not used for every shot throughout a day. They're using us for a couple hours a day, but it's like, the most important maybe, or the most expensive possibility, or possibly the time of the day. And so when it's our time to perform, it's like a race, man. The pressure's on. There's 100 people around. How much money, their time is worth on these sets. So it's just like, hey, man, you got to go suck it up. Go ride this motorcycle with a massive camera on it and put it in a scary situation if that's what needs to be done, but do it in a safe manner and make sure that they can get the shot they're looking for. So
that's pretty cool though to understand that. So like two things that I got from him, what he's saying, that like he can turn on laser focus like no matter what, like super quick, right?
Right.
So Dustin has that ability, and I've seen it in the racing environment when we're competing against each other, is that he really does some awesome stuff with qualifying times. Like he was always able to really, really qualify super, super good. And the second thing that I understand, it looks like we might have lost Dustin. I don't know if you can do it from there. Can you give him a call back real quick? So let me see that real quick. So the second thing that I actually understood from what he was saying was the whole team environment thing, right? Is like when he's out there, the end goal to win a race is to win a race, right? Like you go and you just have a simple goal of just winning the race. But when he's out there and he's doing these other things to make it so that he can, I don't know, succeed in a test rider environment, it's not for him. It's not the selfish thing of winning a race for you and standing on top of the podium. It's to actually help the development of the bike and the actual vehicle that they're working with,
and the masses, and
exactly
putting out a product that
so it's
everyone
a total
else
different
wants.
end goal, right?
Totally.
What are we looking at there to get Dustin back on?
Wi-Fi settings.
Oh, so that's something with
no
us.
Internet connection.
Okay. Well, maybe you could. I'll fix that while you maybe talk a little bit more about the different end goals.
Yeah, I think when he's got that. I mean, I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but I can imagine they're giving a platform that's, we'll call it 90% developed or 95% developed, and doing that in some of the things that, people I know that have in different, we'll say different industries, but same kind of thing with a vehicle, whether it be an RC car or a bicycle or a motorcycle. After you get handed that, it's not, like you said, it's not about like, well, I can go fast with this setting. This is the best, right? That might be the best for you. But when you got 4 other people or whatever it is, and then plus the engineers, and with the end goal in mind of the average user, that changes everything. In my perspective, But no, it's us. But yeah, I think that's a pretty humbling experience as well.
I just think it's really cool to be able to understand that. Like when Dustin was talking about having the end goal of getting a bike test rode and driven for countless hours, but your end goal is to have it successful for the end user.
Right.
It's pretty amazing to be able to see how he can shift his mindset. Like, again, I just talked about a little bit ago about Dustin is fantastic at having laser focus. Like his qualifying was always, it would blow my mind because I could never qualify the way that he does. I can't turn it on like that. I don't have that in me. He can do that. And if he's operating a covert camera like he can do that, right? He can be like red on there. And then when you're testing, you shift.
Right.
Because it's a long form thing that you're doing. So it's pretty cool that he has the ability to do both of those. It must be pretty exciting to actually put yourself in those different situations, huh, Dustin?
Yeah. I mean, man, I just enjoy like riding, driving, being competitive. I enjoy the development process, like, I don't know. I've been lucky to spend so much time in the industry doing so many different things. Like, I really haven't found much that I don't like about it yet. So I like the challenge, when we're developing motorcycles, obviously it's, they're taking our input, they're providing the parts, and they're requesting that we try certain parts or certain settings. And all it is my job is to tell them if it's positive or negative and why, and why is it giving a rider a positive or negative feeling? And then obviously we try to, take all these baby steps to keep building the best machine we can.
But it's not just how you feel though, right? It's how you think another person could feel as well, right?
Yeah. That's where you have to turn, because as a racer, you're setting everything up for you.
Right.
Who cares about anybody else? It's my car. It's my bike. It has to be what I want.
Right.
So yeah, when we're testing, it's different, man. You have to like push all that aside. And there can be times on the track where I'm like, ooh, I want the bike to just do this little thing for me. But then you're like, but for everybody else, for the people that are actually buying this thing, it doesn't need to be like that. It doesn't need to be like extra stiff going into that corner. It can be a little bit more supple and have better comfort through these couple bumps, just to give somebody else a better feel that will make them enjoy themselves riding a dirt bike more,
Dude, I think that's so cool. We had a comment just come in. Tyrone Robinson said, well, actually, this is a really good one, actually. What was your proudest moment, not as a rider or a driver?
Ooh. My proudest moment, not as a rider or driver, I mean, it has to be the birth of my kids, I'm a dad 3 times over. I have a 16-year-old daughter and 2 sons that are 14 and 12. And yeah, man, I mean, there's nothing better than becoming a dad. I've won a lot of races. I've won some championships, and I've tested like these prototypes that nobody's ever seen. And there's nothing better than being a dad.
That's super cool, man. So for anybody that thinks that the grass is always greener, still, it's better. Nothing gets better than being a dad, right? So,
yeah,
that's super cool to hear, though, too. Like, and if your dad watches or is watching the show or listens to it later, that's got to be a pretty awesome thing for him to hear too, because it's got to make him feel like he raised a good boy.
Yeah, he got lucky.
So, well, let's get back to talking a little bit more about the motorsports stuff. So, one of the things that I admire most about you is that you've always had this passion for motorsports, right? But it didn't just like all of a sudden become like you were just all of a sudden fast driver, fast rider. Like you had to work your way up.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you guys knew me back in the dirt bike days. I poured my heart and soul into racing dirt bikes. Like I said, I started when I was 6. I turned pro when I was 17. I won Loretta's on my way up one time. I went to Loretta's 4 years. I won one time there. That's the biggest amateur race there is on dirt bikes. So that was cool. And then when I turned pro, I'd always been, like I said earlier, I was willing to hang it out all the time. And so I was extremely fast and I won a lot, but I also crashed pretty big a lot. And so my first couple of years as a pro, I got hurt. I got hurt pretty bad. I broke my right femur and I dislocated my right wrist. And I never got full grip strength or movement back in my right hand. So that definitely took me kind of off the trajectory that I was hoping to have, on dirt bikes. I was hoping to be a top, 5 guy in Supercross and Nationals. And, the best I ever did was like, maybe I was top 10 in the 125 class at Supercross. But once I got on 250, top 15, and then in the outdoor Nationals, I never broke into the top 10. I was like 12th or 13th a few times. So it was just kind of dumb luck. I'd started testing dirt bikes for Yamaha, and a couple years after that, they hit me up and they were like, "Hey, we have this quad coming that's kind of geared toward motocross. You want to help us test it?" And I was like, well, for me, it's, I'm an outside contractor, more days, more money. So I'm like, yep, I'll be there. And, I started riding quads. I rode quads growing up at the desert. My uncles had quads and stuff like that. So when it got dark, I'd park my dirt bike and start riding my uncle's quads around camp. And so I'd ridden them, but never on a motocross track. And it was pretty eye-opening the first couple times. Jumps are all of a sudden really scary when you're hitting them with 4 wheels instead of 2.
Yeah.
So, on the quad side, when I first raced a quad, I was at a high level, but I cheated. Like I had probably 2 years of riding quads without anybody knowing I was riding quads on dirt bike tracks when I was testing the bike. So that was just, kind of lucky, as being a part of the testing program. But the decision to go quad racing instead of motorcycle racing was just based on, I'd been a professional dirt bike racer for 10 years at the time. Quads were new and exciting, and I didn't know where my top level was. On dirt bikes, I'd already leveled out. I was never going to be what I had hoped to be as a younger guy. And it was like, dude, I could race quads. It's kind of new and exciting. I don't know what our top level is, and I can be closer to home. And it was looking like we were going to make about the same amount of money. And I was like, I was married and supporting my first kid at the time. So I was like, that was important. And so I switched to quad racing. And I remember like the first time I went to the track and was at Glen Helen riding a quad on Thursday instead of a dirt bike. And I had all these like pro guys that I raced with, like, what the hell are you doing?
I'll bet.
And I was like, I don't care what anybody thinks of quads. I'm passionate about racing, man. And I think I can be successful and extend my racing career. And so this is the direction I'm going.
Yeah, I definitely think that's super cool to hear that story. And a lot of people may not even have ever heard that story. So I think it's cool that you're telling most of our audience and people that have known you for a long time. But one of the coolest parts about that is he didn't want, how do you say this? Like, the only way I know how to say it is shouldn't sound derogatory, but he didn't want the passion to die, right? Like all of us dirt bike riders, every single one of us, no matter who you are, if you want to become a professional, there's some point when you have a reality check.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, fuck, I can't go as fast as that dude. Like there is people that are faster than me not in my local track, right?
Right.
And to understand how passionate he is about motorsports, no matter what happened, he just wanted to be at the track. Right. And that's how we all are. Every single one of us. It doesn't matter what it is. And I got those same questions when I started racing side-by-sides. They're like, dude, you used to be a professional dirt bike racer, whatever level you make it to, and now you're racing these dumbass golf carts. Like, what's wrong with you? But that's nothing is wrong with that. I just want to be at the track just like Dustin.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that the racing passion or fire ever goes away. That's like,
nope.
The old adage now, that everybody says, with age comes a cage. It's like, it used to be said to make fun of people, and now everybody's like, well, hell yeah, it does. Like, they're all jumping good.
Yeah.
Well, for one thing, because side-by-sides became like cool. They're fast and fun now, where it used to be like a rhino or something, and they're like making fun of you. But because it was really like a golf cart. But nowadays they're legit. Like, you can go to a motocross track and jump most of the jumps in a YXZ or a Razor or whatever you got.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that too, because I remember like me getting in a side-by-side, and like the first day I went out testing it, I was like, and it was a Polaris Razor 900, and I was like thinking, okay, this is going to be cool. And Casey actually can attest to this, but I took it out to the track. I rode the vet track for a little bit, and for people that may not know, like the vet track at any motocross facility is usually like a dumbed-down version of a motocross track. And I jumped all the jumps, and I was like, all right, this thing is like pretty sick. Yeah. And so I took it out on the actual motocross track, and the second lap, I jumped all the jumps, like a big table and all this stuff, and then every single flagger and all of the people that operate the track came out there. They're like, "Get out of here! Don't do it!" Like, so I can only imagine like what Dustin felt too, like when he's hucking these massive jumps on a four wheels, like whether it be a quad or a side by side.
Yeah, it was. By the time I got to the side by sides, it was less scary because I figured out the whole four wheel thing. But yeah, it's pretty funny. Like I talked to some of the guys that I started testing the YXZ or the YFZ 450 with back in the days, and we were all dirt bike guys, and we were like pro dirt bike guys that would be winning local races or battling, at the regional level at least, to win everything. And we were like daring each other to do like these 30-foot doubles, like we were just deathly afraid of these things. And then it was funny, like, I think 4 or 5 years into my ATV racing career, I did this huge jump at Glen Helen. It was like 120-foot, like triple thing. Dang. And I remember sending, somebody did like a picture with like 100 frames, going across it.
Oh, where you can see the
Yeah, so I remember sending that to some of the guys that I tested the quad with originally. I'm like, look, guys, look what could have happened if you just stuck with it. Like, I was the only one that stuck with quads, And I'm like, look what could have just happened if you just stuck with it. You could have graduated to doing this thing by now. But it's funny, like, once you get comfortable with four wheels and how they're going to act when they leave the jumps, and, on a quad, how you can move your body around and affect its, the attitude in the air and things like that. It's amazing how, much they're not different than a dirt bike, other than you need something 4 feet wide to go off of instead of 6 inches.
So we have a question that came, another one from Tyrone Robinson. But before we ask that question, what Dustin's talking about is one of the things that I admired most, like, because when I got into side-by-side racing, like, he was the guy that I wanted to be, right? Like, we all, like, looked up to him, dirt bike racing, and when I got out on the track and I was able to follow, like, because the first thing I did when Dustin showed up, I got right behind him and followed him no matter what. Every single race I tried to do it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I always did that because I knew, first of all, he was going to give it his, go balls to the wall right away because he's good at qualifying. Right. And then second, I always knew that no matter what happened, even if he was trying to show me the wrong line, I knew that he was going to do it right. Right. Because no matter what happens, like, he couldn't get away from it. He was good at quad riding. He was good at dirt bike riding. So every single time I would follow him, I knew that no matter what happened, I was getting good information. Right. So it was always a really, really huge benefit for me to be able to follow him or do whatever he was doing. And I remember one time specifically, we were out at Lake Elsinore, and I didn't get, like, he drove away from me right away, and I didn't get to see him for a little bit until we got, I think it was like the second portion of the race where you get the yellow flag and you go again. And I saw the line that he was making up all this time on me because I was in second, he was in first. And I was like, this is exactly what I needed to learn, and I didn't learn it all day. And it was going into the first turn at Lake Elsinore, and it was this big sweeper turn, and I was cooking it in there as fast as I could, thinking like sliding the car and braking a little bit was like the best way to do it. Like, I didn't know any better. It wasn't. It was just letting off a little bit and keeping up your momentum, and he would shift. I saw where he paused, and he shifted into the next gear, and then you come out, and it was like a good half a second, 3/4 of a second. And nice. Then I was able to follow him the whole rest of the time. And then I ended up getting on the podium in second place that day. But then the next times that we went to Lake Elsinore, I was right there with him battling.
Awesome.
It was super cool. And it all came from what he was talking about. being able to go from 2 wheels to 4 wheels, now to 4 wheels with a cage.
And you got to be able to throw out the banana peels every now and again. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I needed some smoke screen
There you go.
so we couldn't see the lines.
Yeah.
So, but that's the whole motorsports thing, right? Is like you got to be able to play those games. And then, like, we just talked with Myles Cheek a little bit ago about he's been racing Brock Heger for 12 years now. So both of them kind of understand their, like, what they're going to do on track. Well, I didn't have that, and you didn't really have that in the side-by-side stuff, but we did have a little bit of it coming from the motorsports backgrounds that we had.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just definitely like forever thankful for just my racing experience, you know, whether it was 2 or 4 wheels, you know, before I got to side-by-sides. By the time I started racing side-by-sides, everybody there had more experience than me. You know, everybody had been driving them longer than I had. So, but that part of it wasn't important, that specific vehicle. You know, it was, what was important was my racing experience, you know, line selection, just that racing IQ of how to set people up for a pass,
Right.
you know, what lines to take in traffic, you know, just, you know, searching out that little bit of traction, like in turn 1 at Lake Elsinore, you know, to where you can keep your momentum instead of sliding the car sideways and taking a bunch of momentum out of it, you know. There's so many little things that add up to, you know, making a good lap or being a good racer. And I've just had so much just pure racing experience. You know, like I said, I started racing when I was 6 years old, professional when I was 17, you know, so it, you know, that helped me so much, whether I was on a dirt bike, a quad, or in a side-by-side. I could always fall back on all the racing experience, whether it was my first time in that vehicle or not. I had that to fall back on every time.
Did you realize that you were helping a lot of other people at the same time, like, for instance, myself or anybody else?
Yeah, I did. But to me, that's always, I've been totally cool with that. And like, I like that because I've always believed that like racing's the most fun. Like, what's the most fun part of racing? It's battling. Like, to go destroy everybody by 10 seconds, that's cool. And it makes you look good for your sponsors. And it's cool to get that first place trophy or the check maybe. But I mean, I've never been more pumped up than when you just battle somebody like to death. And whether you cross the finish line, you know, obviously it's a little kicker to cross the finish line first. But if you cross the finish line second or third when you've been battling 5 cars your whole race, man, there's nothing that gets me more amped than that. And so I always saw the like helping people out and giving tips here and there, or just helping them by them being behind me the whole time. Like that was just going to add to the competition. And in reality, all that's going to do is help the sport, make it more fun for me. And you know, hopefully grow the skills at the front of the pack. So everybody up there is driving not only fast, because there's guys that can go really fast in side-by-sides, but they're sketchy or they make big mistakes here and there. But to have the skill set to like do that lap after lap after lap and not run into everybody and you know, be able to control your car and try to put it in the right spots, whether you're being passed or you're trying to pass.
Do you see the parallels to what he does?
I was going to say that, but go ahead. Awesome. You can say that.
Yeah. So the parallel there, I'm sure you realize it, is that you have that same want and desire to take it back a notch for yourself and make the end product of what you're testing good for the other person too, or the masses, because it brings it to enjoyability for way more people.
Yeah. I've always been like, you know, even in the SR1 class out at the Lucas races, I've been one of the top guys out there in that class for a long time. And that car, George, I don't think you've had a chance to drive an SR1, but that's a hard car to drive. They're driven by R1 motorcycle engines. They're 2-wheel drive. They're chain driven. It's built on old Rhino geometry. So they're a handful. They're tough to drive. And I've always, you know, fielded tons of questions from new drivers and old drivers of that class about driving those cars. And it came to a point where I just started writing all my suspension settings, because Weller did almost all of our shocks. So I just started writing all my settings on the roof of my car. just right above,
Nice.
right above the driver's door. I just had front, low speed compression, high speed compression, and rebound clicker settings all written down on the roof of my car. And like people like Scott Webster, Matt Land, they would just come over and look at my settings and go back and click around on their shocks and see if they could get things going a little better for them.
Dude, see, that's exactly what we loved, and that's exactly how I was an open book as well. Not that I was anywhere near your knowledge, but when people would come and ask me about YXE stuff, or you know, when I first started the Polaris stuff, it was just really cool to have that camaraderie, because no matter what happened, I was the same way. Battle, battle, battle. Like, it doesn't matter what place you finish, battle, battle, battle. But like Dustin said, it's always better if you finish a little bit higher than than the other person, right?
Of course.
You want to beat all your buddies for sure. I mean, that's why you're there, right?
So Tyrone's question, what does it say, Case? I can't see it.
What would you be doing if you weren't in motorsports? Yeah. What would you be doing if you were not into motorsports?
That's all going to be a loaded
yeah,
question.
that's going to be hard.
Man, that's so tough to answer. I honestly, I don't know. My whole life has been based around motorsports.
Do you know how to make good food? Like, can you bake cookies? Can we?
Yeah.
Can we knit?
Yeah, as long as they're store bought, you know, then I can throw them in the oven. I got that timing down pretty good.
Nice.
I have worked, I've worked in Dubach Racing Development, DRD Exhaust. I worked in his machine shop for a long time, or not for a long time. I worked for him for 4 years. I was running his CNC tubing bender. So, I guess I could work in some sort of machine shop or something like that. But the only thing that led me to those skills was motorsports. So I honestly don't know how to answer that.
I think he's a fan of RC car racing, so I think he was probably looking for you to say maybe drive RC cars. But I agree with you.
Yeah, well, I have done a fair share of RC car racing in my life. When I was racing dirt bikes, especially, anytime I was hurt, you still had that racing bug.
Yep.
So I would be at local RC tracks racing for the couple months that I was out of racing dirt bikes. So I have done a fair share, but I definitely wouldn't be good enough at RC racing to make that a lifestyle.
Well, I think there's a lot of correlation to it, though. Like the development that you're talking about and the progression of the industries and all these things. So some of the people that we have in our audience are followers of Casey's or followers of mine or followers of yours or just lovers of motorsports in general. And the same things that you have talked about, Casey's done a lot of that same thing with RC cars. He's helped develop them for the end user. He's developed them in racing conditions and had a lot of success with it too. So, even both of us have engineered parts and done stuff like what Dustin's done.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
It's pretty cool to see all that same dirt life leading in those same directions, right?
Yeah, it's funny how it's woven into the fiber of your being, right? Like he said, he can't. And it's funny that he said, okay, he did some stuff, and I'm sure he was really good at whatever that task was that he was doing for Dubach. I'm sure he was the best at it. But it's funny that he's like, yeah, I'm not really into it, but I get it. So there has to be.
The racing is the backbone.
Yeah, even if you just get into whatever else, I took a different career path because I've had that realization that, okay, I can't do this, and I'm broken and whatever. But you still take that into doing it the best you can.
Yep.
But on the side over here, you're still like, man, I want to be hearing that engine. And yeah, so I get it. We can't ever get rid of it.
Well, actually, that brings me to my next question for Dustin. Have you done any Yamaha stuff with dual sports? Because Casey and I are kind of venturing off of those paths, man.
On the dual sport side?
Yeah.
Dude, I haven't been able to ride one yet, but I'm really keen to ride that 10RA 700.
What is it? I don't know what bike that is.
It's basically like their touring bike with a 700cc engine. So,
Dang.
I don't know, like a street legal Dakar bike, basically.
Oh, okay, cool. That sounds like it might be kind of neat to try test out. We've Casey got a 450X. And then I've been thinking about either getting a 450L or KTM 500 EXCF. So is it kind of like one of those bikes that Yamaha has?
Yeah, I would say it's bigger. It's more of like the full size touring bike. Like KTM has I think they call it a Duke, maybe. They're 790 and a 1200.
More like an adventure bike then?
Or like the
Yeah,
Honda's,
adventure style bike. Yeah.
Honda's got the Africa Twin or whatever, right? Similar? Or is
Yeah.
it? Okay.
Yeah, similar, along those same lines. So
Dakar.
they already have what they call a Super T, which is a 1200, but they just came out with a 700, which is more moto style, but it's still a full adventure bike.
That's still pretty cool though, man. Yeah, like I've been getting super into it, and it's like seeing all these dudes doing like more adventure and dual sport rides and stuff. Like it kind of gets me on that same level, like with the side by side trail riding and a dirt bike. Like so, I'm been super into it.
Yeah, it's funny as I get older. Like I still love to moto dirt bikes. Like it's tons of fun for me to go to a moto track and rip laps. But when we go out, like as a family, I have more fun doing like the really technical, like rocky trails and stuff like that than like ripping super fast anymore. It's like, I don't really care to go that fast.
Dude,
It's pretty gnarly. I like the slower technical stuff.
Well, first, I like that he's saying that because, like, it means that maybe there's a possibility that he does a ride with us, like a dual sport ride or something.
Yep.
But I'm still gonna kind of push back on him, dude. You were still fucking ripping at Kahia and those other tracks when I saw you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't go slow. I don't know. It's
That's
not
the
in
next
me,
problem.
Just like you said when I got on the track in a car, like it's hard for me to like tame it back. Like I want to. If I'm in something and I can go fast in it or on it, then I want to. Yeah, I'm still gonna go fast. It's not as fast as I used to be, or anything like that. But it's still pretty good. I mean, I can go to local tracks and be one of the faster guys there still. And
I think anybody with seeing you in a side by side like a YXZ or even a SR1, like if you showed up to this track, I think they would still be concerned that you were going to give them a run for their money for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
It's still pretty cool to see that though, man. Like that type of mentality, like, is a winning mentality, right? Like it doesn't matter whether we just made fun of him, but like doing knitting or whatever it is,
it's gonna
right?
be the best
He's still going to, no matter what, is going to do it. And that's what I love so much about the dirt life is it always ends up being like that, right? Like we've had so many people say, yeah, I just started on a PW50, right?
Yep.
But all of a sudden this PW50 turns into this like racing like lifestyle.
Dynasty.
Yeah, it's so funny. Well, I want to know, like, how did you end up, like, because you went through all of these awesome motorsports things, right? But your favorite thing was obviously the birth of your children. How did you end up meeting Elizabeth?
So I actually met Elizabeth. So my kids are from my first wife. I was married earlier in life and then divorced. And then I would say like 2 years after my divorce, I was racing, of course. I was following the Work Series, racing the ATV class, and we were racing up in Washougal. And
nice
just so
track,
happened that, yeah, it's an awesome track. Raced there a bunch of times, dirt bikes, quads, nationals, all that stuff back in the days. So, it was a crazy weekend where like dirt bikes raced Friday and half a Saturday, and quads raced the second half of Saturday and Sunday. And I just happened to be out on the track watching the dirt bike pros race. I had some buddies out there racing and stuff, and was out there watching and checking out the track and seeing where their lines were, and just happened to, up the hill from me, saw two like pretty good looking girls like hanging out and watching the race and yelling and screaming for a couple of the guys that I knew. And so I started like kind of paying attention, and I recognized Elizabeth. I didn't know what from. I just kind of figured that because I recognized her, she was like a dirt bike girl, But it was funny because like we kind of looked at each other but didn't say anything. And then that night I had a Facebook friend request and message from her saying, "Hey, what's up? I saw you checking me out at the track today." you know, like
Calling you
all
out.
this. Yeah, it was pretty funny. She had already flown home. She was done racing. She already flew home and was back in Lake Elsinore or whatever. But yeah, she's like, I saw you checking me out. You know, if you want to like hang out or talk when you get back home from the races, hit me up. So like a week or two later, we ended up like, you know, kind of having a little date thing, just kind of hanging out at the beach and, you know, seeing where it went. And here we are, like, I don't know, 9-10 years later, where she's married, we're married, and she's a stepmom to my 3 kids. And, you know, she's not racing anymore, but she was racing professionally on dirt bikes at the time. And she did that for a few more years. And then I don't know if you remember, but when the YXZ first came out, we had her in a YXZ for a couple.
Yeah, I do remember that. Didn't she have an orange one?
Yeah, she had an orange one the first year and a black one the second year. So yeah, we just had a lot of fun. She's still, you know, an enthusiast for racing. She doesn't really do it much anymore, but if you were at the Lucas races, you know, she was a big part of my program. She's my spotter. And that was always her favorite. Her favorite thing was that she got to tell me what to do for like 20 minutes a day.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, Brian always said, my crew chief and my spotter, Brian always said that she did such a great job too. So she was like, yeah, I always saw Elizabeth up there. It was super cool. We always got to hang out.
Yeah, see, I always heard about her getting in fights up there, so I don't know.
Yeah, Brian said that he wasn't ever going to try to get in a fight with her. He's going to be nice.
Yeah, she's all sweet and innocent when you see her in the pits, but I heard she's pretty nasty up in the spotter stand.
Don't mess with her. Well, that's super cool, man. I love hearing those stories because those are the ones that really count, right? Like you would have never met her had you not been into motorsports your whole life. So that's what really matters.
Yeah, for sure. And it just, you know, it just makes our whole life and our relationship super easy, you know, like she gets it. We get each other. Like we've both been professional athletes for most of our lives and chased, you know, the same dream in sorts, you know, like we were trying to do the same thing. Obviously she was in the women's side and I was in the men's side, but, you know, just striving for greatness in whatever, you know, sport you're doing is very similar, I think, whether you're male or female. So we've both done the same thing. It's really easy. We get along really well. We like a lot of the same stuff. And yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, that like-minded mentality has to help a lot. Tyrone, again, asked another question, actually. I think I actually know the answer to this. Would you ever do King of the Hammers? Didn't you actually have an opportunity to do that?
Yeah, I failed at it. I failed horribly at that race.
He was going too
I've
fast.
done it 3 times.
Yeah.
He was going too fast.
Yeah.
So actually, who told us about this last time? Somebody was telling us like King of the Hammers is a battle of attrition, right? Like, and Dustin has Dustin has the mindset. There's no battle of attrition. Battle to go as fast as you freaking can, like no matter
Gate
what.
dropped, go.
Yeah. I thought you don't see me at many desert races. I grew up on motocross. You know, I'm for these like 30-minute sprints. You know, and so desert racing's tough for me. Actually, at King of the Hammers, I've done really well on the desert side of it. The first loop is mostly desert, and I've done very well on that side of it. But I've never been able to get a car to the finish line, and that's so frustrating because you put so much time and effort into it. And, you know, like I actually remember talking about Elizabeth. I remember arguing with her over the radio one time at King of the Hammers because the time for us to finish had ended. You know, you're not going to be scored anymore. But I was still on course, like determined to finish the damn race. And so we came within radio, you know, distance of the pit, and she came over the radio and she's like, "Where are you? Everybody's kind of here waiting on you." And I'm like, "I'm trying to finish something, damn it. Like, leave me alone." You know, like,
Nice.
And yeah, we still couldn't finish, even though I was stubborn and out there trying to do it in the dark. But you know, it's just, that's a tough race, man. I have tons of respect for the guys that finish it and do well in it. But you come across some stuff out there that you're like, are they fucking serious? We're supposed to go through this?
Yeah,
like,
right. That's
it's
what
pretty mind-blowing.
We had actually heard that from not just you, from a couple other people as well. Well, actually, that brings me to another question, not so King of the Hammers-esque, but do you have like a favorite? We'll talk about the 3 different disciplines. A favorite moment that you had is kind of going on what Tyrone had before, but a favorite moment in your dirt bike tenure, and then maybe a favorite moment in your four-wheel tenure on an ATV, and then how about the side-by-side stuff?
Dirt bikes, I won Loretta's as an amateur. That was a big deal. But then I also, as a pro, I won the four-stroke national championships.
Yeah, you remember that?
Yep.
Which was a four-stroke. The four-stroke nationals was, I would say, it was like a B-level series when four-strokes weren't the thing yet.
Right.
Almost everybody at like the 125 and 250 nationals were still riding two-strokes, and the four-stroke nationals was a traveling series that was AMA sanctioned, but it was like a B-level professional series. And
but that was the building blocks of what you see now.
Yep.
Yeah, well, yeah, now it would almost have to be like a two-stroke nationals, right? Because we were like the weird guys riding four strokes back then, and nowadays everybody's on four strokes, so it'd have to be like the two-stroke nationals. But that was a great series. It was ran regionally, so there was a Western and an Eastern series.
Yep.
And but we traveled all over. You know, we raced in SoCal, we raced in Arizona, Speed World, Cottonwood. We raced up in Washington. We raced Washougal. We were racing Idaho and Utah. You know, we were all over the place. So it was a really cool series. And so winning that championship was probably the biggest thing because I was a professional. I was, you know, working hard and doing the right things to be able to pull that off. And then moving to four wheels, man.
Well, before you get into this, do you remember Mike?
Yes.
Mike Young was saying the same stuff to us. So we had Mike Young on the show when we first started the show, maybe over a year ago, and he was kind of saying the same thing. Remember?
Yeah, definitely. It was. I mean, it was. He might not think it was a legit thing, but it was a legit thing. I mean, I was still following it and was like, "These dudes are." Oh bad.
No, it was a big deal back
for
then.
Sure.
You know, like,
for sure.
I won in '99. My first year racing, it was in '98, the first year of the YZ400.
Right.
And my first year, Mike Young whooped my ass quite a few times, and he was riding some weird like Vertimati or something, you know, like Husaberg or Vertimati.
Yep.
Yeah, he was, you know, and he was still kicking my ass. Him and Lance Smale, they were like riding.
Was it Spud Walters too?
Yeah, he was one of the guys too.
Yeah, Spud, when Honda started. You know, Spud came in on the Honda. He was like the White Brothers was like Honda's support team there. Mm-hmm. And him and they had a few guys. Paul Carpenter was really fast out there, and he was Spud's teammate for a long time.
I remember that was started like to come to fruition right after I broke my back, and I like remember seeing these guys, and I was like, wow, there's another series starting. And then like I was like, you know, like so the same thing as like the side-by-side thing, like, oh, they're just golf carts, or well, these are just weird dirt bikes, right?
Right.
But then like when you see them in person and how freaking fast they're going, like these dudes were hauling the mail on a big motorcycle, like killing it. So I don't disagree with what Dustin's saying. Like that was a special moment because that's like a whole nother forefront building of a different industry.
I thought it was so cool because it was like the old days of the factory or the works bike, right? It was kind of like these were bikes that you'll never see. So if you were able to see that and, you know, race against them or be around it.
How works was your bike?
My bikes were stock, like, or very production, very, very production anyways. But like those Husabergs and Vertimatis and ATKs and everything, they were like hand built. They had some guys that were, I mean, they were racing $30,000-$40,000 motorcycles. It was, you know, like, not that you could ever sell them, but if you put a price on how much it costs to build those things, it was crazy. And I was racing you know, I didn't start until the good bikes started being made, you know, YZ400.
Right.
So I think like handling wise, we were miles ahead of them right away, but power wise, those guys were running like 570s, 620s, like all kinds of crazy. There was no engine displacement rules. So
do you remember seeing that case? I can totally agree with that, with what Dustin's saying, because I remember seeing like those guys that looked like they were just driving a Harley Davidson pin because it had so much power. But then like the more moto guys like Dustin had the better handling bikes that were like lightweight and they could throw it around. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Yeah, it was a crazy time in the whole world of motocross. You know, when the first YZ400 came out and started, everybody was like, "Holy shit! What?
Yeah,
why
what
is
is
the
this?
Japanese in a 4-stroke? That's weird, you know."
Right.
And and then fast forward 10 years, and like that's all there is. It's crazy.
It is pretty crazy.
That's like 22 years ago that happened, but 10 years after they made the first one, it was that's all there was on the track.
Dude, it's so crazy how like times like come full circle, right? Like Dustin just mentioned, like now everybody's all two-strokey, you know. Like Tyrone actually asking another question. So first of all, thank you very much, Tyrone, for keeping the engagement going. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, he's on it.
Yeah, he is.
We love that he keeps asking questions. I'll preface this by saying that Dustin is a very, very good man when it comes to being a test rider and a development person. So he might not answer your question. Are there any goodies in development that will change the game, motos, quads, or side-by-sides?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm sure there is.
So
Sure there is.
Perfect.
Like I said, Dustin is good at his job, and he's very, very diplomatic when it comes to these types of questions. So I know that, for instance,
It's not that I don't want to tell you. It's just that I want to work again.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
he needs to keep his job. However, I don't have any job that I need to keep as far as that stuff goes. And I will tell you for a fact that there is a lot of stuff in the side-by-side game coming out very, very soon, not just from Yamaha, but from different manufacturers that will change the game from a side-by-side market standpoint. I don't know very much in the quad or moto game, but there is some awesome stuff. So make sure that you pay attention to all the stuff that all the manufacturers are doing, because it's going to be a fun time these next couple of years.
I'll tell you what Yamaha needs.
What?
Now that I'm riding a little more. Jeremy and I were just talking about this. Yamaha needs a 350X.
Oh, like a WR kind of thing? Because they have the WR, but
Yep.
what?
We need, so now that it's been a long time for me, I get on a 450. I'm like, this thing is so fast and so heavy. A 250 is probably perfect. And you're like, nope, not enough.
But you're still riding the X, a little bit older X, though. The newer models and stuff, you still want that same power. Like the 450L that I had was still like, that's why I'm thinking about the 500 KTM, because it's 50 pounds lighter than the 450L, but it has 50 more cc's.
So what if a Japanese manufacturer says, all right, we'll finally throw our hat in the ring and it won't be 600 pounds? I don't know. That's my feel. I think maybe they're missing that.
So you want a bike that you can moto, but you can also dual sport?
Yeah,
Yes.
but he hasn't quite gone on like a super long dual sport day yet. So he's still kind of moto guy that hasn't gone like quite yet. So
with like, I agree. I don't agree with the 350 displacement, but I do agree with that Yamaha needs. I do agree that Yamaha needs like a 450 street legal.
Right.
Which they don't have. They have the 250 street legal, and now they have the 10 race 700 street legal, but the 450 is missing in the middle.
Right.
So I do that would be on my want list or wish list. But if you guys are in Arizona, things are much easier to make legal to ride on the street.
Absolutely, they are.
For me out here in California, but I would say that if you had a Yamaha, like a new WR 450 or a 450 FX, Yamaha's power tuner that you can adjust everything with your phone.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty crazy.
Seriously mellow the engine character out quite a bit with the power tuner, and especially an FX still feels very motorbike. Like I had one last year this time, and I was doing 80% of my riding on it because I live 10 minutes from Verona right now. So when Verona was open on the weekends, I'd be out there kickstand and all, just like ripping motos and everything.
Love it.
It was awesome.
Dude, that is super cool. Well, I'm stoked that all the Japanese manufacturers are actually getting into this dual sport thing, because it's going to be like the whole 4-stroke development days now. It's like in 5 years from now, there's going to be so much awesome dual sport stuff that we can do. We can have all the choices in the world.
It's because all us Gen X's are getting old. That's what it is.
No, we're the medium guys, dude. We're not the old guys yet. Remember, we're the medium dudes.
All right.
You just have to remember that like competition is what drives development, right?
Yep.
So like, unfortunately, on the quad side of things, there's not enough competition to drive development. Yamaha really is the only current manufacturer of a 450 sport model quad. Yeah. So it's like they're not going to really develop. That takes a lot of time, money,
right.
invested to develop, future products when there's no competition to do it against, So I don't see any development on that side. It would be awesome if the dual sport market picks up to where the Japanese companies start getting more aggressive.
Yeah.
And then obviously, what market is more competitive right now than the side-by-side market? So obviously,
right.
I'm sure you guys have seen lately the Yamaha's been dropping some hints. They got the big drop coming on the 3rd of September. So 2 days from now or 2 days from tomorrow? 3 days from now?
I think it's on Thursday, right?
Yeah, they got a big drop coming. So that's definitely exciting. I definitely am eager to see what everybody thinks and, what they're going to do with what drops on Thursday. It's going to be exciting.
Those things are cool. And first of all, I like that Dustin is politically correct when he goes through all this stuff because it allows everybody else, right? So Dustin always wants to win. So I guarantee you it's at the tip of his tongue. But
I'm sure.
He's the team player now, so he has to do it. So Tyrone, I think there's a lot of value in anybody being able to make sure that they're out there developing and doing the best that they can when they know that it's going to be the best for the general public.
Yeah, but I think I'm looking at it a little different. I don't think it's his competitive nature that's saying, I want to tell you. I feel like it's his competitive nature saying, I can't wait to see whatever this is. I can't wait to see what you think of all the hard work that we put into it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I think he's thinking.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough. I was able to do some photo and video stuff with a couple of the new models. So it was, they've been advertising the RMAX, right? So that's it's different. It's going to be cool.
I think it's going to be pretty cool to see all that stuff. So actually that leads us back to the questions that I had. And you like the more important question to me is like what your favorite thing is in side-by-side. Like what was your favorite moment in the side-by-side racing stuff? Or maybe it wasn't even racing. Maybe it was in development.
Well, man, that's tough. The whole year of 2016 was pretty spectacular. That was the first year of the YXZ. And Yamaha, I went into being a factory driver for Yamaha in a funny way. I was a factory rider for them on quads. And at the end of 2014, I won my 6th championship on quads. And the fact of the matter was the ATV scene was dying. Racing scene was kind of falling off on the West Coast. And Yamaha, internally, they knew they had the YXZ coming. So they basically, we had a meeting, when we usually kind of go over what's going to be next year's contract. And it was like, well, we don't have anything for you to race until 16.
Here's another fire. Right.
They're like, but we want you to be our factory guy for the YXZ. So what should we do for 15? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, do you want me to race quads again? And they're like, no, I don't think so. But we're gonna keep you on contract to make sure that you don't go anywhere else. So yeah, that's how the whole Pro Light thing came along. Was I was under contract with Yamaha still. I had a friend that was my buddy Mark Malott that was like, hey man, I found this truck. How about I buy the truck and you come up with all the money to go race it?
You're like, oh, great.
I'm like, oh man. And going into it, I didn't know how much money it cost to go race one of those for a year, but it was It was a fun year. It was cool, and I didn't get the results I wanted, but that was the story kind of behind Yamaha was on the side of the truck is they were paying me to like not do much. So I was like, God, I got to give them something, Yeah. So
that's awesome.
So I put them on the side of the truck and we raced some Pro Light stuff, but going into like my best moment of side-by-side racing, I would honestly say my first year of the YXZ, like I got one of the first cars there was, immediately went to work with everybody that I knew that was going to be part of my program. And me just learning how to drive the thing, try to be the absolute best I could be. And in 16, we ran the whole California regional schedule, the whole Arizona regional schedule, and they ran us at the big shootout race for the big series.
But take a step back real quick too, because I remember one of the first things that I saw was you won the Lake Elsinore Grand Prix.
Oh yeah,
it was
I
almost,
did do that.
and it was almost in a bone stock car. Like he had one of the guys that is our friend James Hill build him a little, have a little bit of protection on there. But he went out and almost a stock YXZ and won the Lake Elsinore Grand Prix.
Sweet.
The funniest thing is I stole it from James. So James built me the cage and sponsored me with IMG, and on the start of the race, the first lap, it was so greasy muddy. I got drilled and like spun out and put to the back of like a 20-car field. And the whole race, I'm just driving my nuts out, like trying to come through the field, just passing, keep seeing guys like way out ahead of me. And with like 3 laps to go, I realized, dude, I'm in second.
Nice.
And I realized it's James. It's way out in front. And like, seriously, I think 2 laps to go, he had like a wiring problem or something. And all of a sudden I see him parked off the side of the track. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sad for him, but I was so pumped. It's like, It was a big deal giving Yamaha their first ever win in a YXZ. And the funny thing is I kind of got in trouble for that because I didn't tell anybody at Yamaha that I was going to race it.
Oops.
And it was I was supposed to just have that car for development purposes at that point, to try and like develop parts and get it ready for racing in 16. And this was like November of 15 when I did that. The car had just been announced, and I was like, well, there's a race. I'm going to go race it. There's nothing better than a race to see like how something's really going to perform, and find out all the little problems you have with a race car and try to work towards fixing them. So I went there, and luckily we won because I did get a call from one of the big dogs at Yamaha on Monday, and it was like, hey man, so you didn't really tell us you're going to go race that thing. And like, yeah, but we won. Doesn't that make it okay? He's like, well, yeah, I guess so. I'm like, all right, cool.
That's funny.
The corporate answer was, well, what if you didn't?
Exactly.
Let's be glad you didn't, or that you did win.
Thank goodness, right?
Luckily, we dodged that question.
So
good.
I remember being like super amped because Dustin did that, and I was like, okay, good. Like I made the right decision for my program at the time, and like I was like thinking, okay, cool. Like I didn't care about anything except for you could shift it, right?
Yeah,
like I was all
awesome.
pumped on that, but. Seeing that he did that, I was like, all right, now it's on, because I had seen him race an SR1, and I thought to myself, fuck yes, he's got a YXZ. Now we're all going to be able to go battle. Like, that's all I cared about.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, but that led us into 16. 16 was a good year, man. We won. So we raced 22 races in total. I had 18 wins in 4 seconds. Yep. So it was just a killer year.
Yeah.
But yeah, won both championships, plus the Challenge Cup at the end of the big series. And it was cool, man. Like it couldn't have gone any better.
It actually could have gone better, because I wanted you to battle with us at that Dragonfire night race that I actually won. So I wanted you to be out there so I could have taken the top step with all you guys on the track.
Oh, yeah. See, you just wanted me there so you could beat me. That wasn't cool. Like,
dude, I never got to beat you. Of course I did. You won every single time I got on the course.
I'm sure you beat me in 17. I didn't have a great year in 17.
But honestly, man, I think that's a good answer, because you're right. 2016 was a fantastic year, not only for Yamaha, but for you as a driver, because I remember being out there on the course with you, and like it was almost like you were untouchable. Like you were the unicorn that everybody wanted to beat, right? So it was super, super cool that you answered like that, because I had so much motivation that year to just tag along with everything that you were doing, because it was such an awesome year. Like I could see it in your eyes every time you got on course. Like, man, this is it. Like, this is what we're doing. I'm going out there and I'm going to do my best. Yeah. It was cool.
You know, what's funny too, is like my car that I race now at the regionals, would have just destroyed that car. Like we were just learning, it was early on in the development phase, and we were learning, like, and my thing ever since Two Wheels was like this super like the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid, like don't add all this crap to your bike or quad or side by side that you don't need. Like everybody was adding all these little, doodads and things to the cars to try and step up their performance. But man, my 16 car was like, I didn't even run an airbox or a different intake for most of the year. It was just exhaust, a flash, and setup. It was just driving it, and it worked so good. The Fox guys tested with me at the beginning of the year and helped me get some really good settings. And I was so confident that maybe if other people had better cars than me at times, I just was so confident in what I was driving that, I felt like I could make up for any small differences.
That's funny that you say that, because like 16 was super simple, keep it simple, for me as well. And I think that's why we didn't, like in 17, when all these, like we had to go to the Pro Series and all these, all these trick cars came and all this horsepower and stuff, Dustin and I both struggled because we were still like kind of the stock guys, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like we didn't have all this high horsepower and stuff. So It was a totally different game. But the best part about that whole learning experience was that it still evolved. Everything, the side-by-side racing, the 1000 class still evolved. The turbo class started coming to fruition.
Right.
Like all of it was based upon the groundwork that Dustin laid in 2016. So it was awesome to see that.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, it was fun and it was cool, and it's just funny. You look back and you're like, gosh, it's amazing that we won that much or did that well with the car, because like I said, the car that's sitting in my garage now would like destroy that thing, and if I went to a national right now, I'd probably I'd like to say I'd be battling for wins, but reality wise, I'd probably be like trying really hard to make sure I was in the top 5 every race.
Yeah.
And that's just how it's evolved. There's everybody's cars on the very edge of legal, and the parts have gotten better through the years, and everybody's learned how to drive them better. Like everybody's learned how to set their cars up better and drive them better. And I just think that the little bit of extra time that I had in the car, plus just the confidence in my setup and how I was going to drive it, made the difference for me right from the beginning.
So that's a really good point to bring up, though, because what Dustin's talking about is not a limitation from a driver standpoint. It's limitation from a series standpoint, right? So I just went to, it was 10 days ago, I went to Texplex. Have you heard about this place?
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah, I have.
So this place is it's like the 2016 of side-by-side racing, but it's at a different series. Like it's like going to Redbud in a side-by-side. Dude, it's insane cool. So honestly, if you took the car that you have sitting in your garage, you could very easily go win by 20 seconds at this place, because it's a driver's course and it's so much moto. Like it is so, like it would be the perfect place for you to go.
Other than it's in Texas.
Yeah, I'm not trying to pump the whole
2 days away.
I'm not trying to pump the whole track, because I don't have any vested interest in it or anything. I was so amped on the go. Like when I saw what these dudes were doing and how fun it looked, I was like, dude, this would be a perfect place to have an even playing field for any side-by-side racers.
Yeah, I've seen some of the Miller Brothers videos. They look like they have some cool stuff out there.
Dude, you would be so amped if you went out there. The problem is it's in Texas, right? But the reason it's in Texas is because the facility would cost Amazon $10 billion money to be able to be in California. Like there's no way it's ever going to happen in California. But if for some reason you ever get a wild hair and go out there, you'll have the time of your life, dude.
Sounds good.
Well, so we have a rapid-fire Q&A session, but I'd like to see if there's any chance that we could get Elizabeth in to answer some of the questions with you.
Elizabeth.
Uh-oh. She doesn't want to come on, or she does?
She's fine. She'll come.
Cool. So first of all, thank you.
You gotta put a shirt on.
She's still in her bathing suit from having a swim party or something?
No bathing suit. Just she needs a shirt on.
So, first of all, thank you very, very much for coming on and joining us. Like, we really appreciate it. And obviously, there's so much more to your motorsports tenure, like all the stunt stuff that you've done and things like that. But we can't we can't even go into this whole longevity of your motorsports tenure in a couple hours that we have to talk with you. So, one of these days, we'll have you back on the show. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi.
How's it going?
How's it going?
We're doing awesome. We're just thanking Dustin for coming on the show and you letting him hang out with us for this whole time talking motorsports stuff. It's been pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was listening in the other room. It's cool. I've heard all the stories, but it's cool to hear.
Yeah,
hear you guys talk about it.
It's pretty neat to be able to have such a good platform to be able to talk all this motorsports stuff. I'm stoked that the show is doing so well. But we have a rapid fire Q&A session that we wanted to go through. So hopefully you guys can both answer these questions in a timely fashion, rapid fire. So Case, you want to start?
I will. I know the answer, but we're going. Ready? iRacing or real racing?
Real racing.
Real racing.
Have you guys tried?
Racing is boring.
Have you tried it?
No, it's dumb.
I have a setup in the room right behind us.
Nice.
So I won't disagree with what Elizabeth said because when I tried it, I was all over the place. I sucked so bad. It was horrible.
Your question should be what's harder, iRacing or real racing? And in that case, it's iRacing.
Yeah,
iRacing is way harder than real racing.
I think so too. All right, so if you could hang out with any person for a day, who would it be?
Oh gosh. Like people we know or like famous people?
It doesn't even matter. You can pick whoever you want. Now that you said people you know, all your friends are going to be mad at you.
Yeah.
Well, I would hang out with Chad Reed or Kevin Costner.
Those two?
It's kind of a difference.
Are those your hall pass? Is Chad Reed your hall pass?
Yeah.
Sure.
How about you, Dustin? Who'd you hang out with?
Man, that's tough. I'd hang out with somebody like Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Oh
think?
gosh.
Yeah.
I just think that'd be cool to like. That dude's like seems like a really cool, grounded dude, and he probably has so much going on in his head. It'd be interesting to sit around him for a day.
Yeah, exactly. And not to mention legend, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if we weren't talking about boys, I would say Pink then.
That's actually pretty cool. Yeah, that'd be a fun one. Well, actually, if you hang out with Pink, that means you get to hang out with the whole crew, right? So you get like all four, like the kids and everybody, and you get to hang out with Carrie Hart.
Yeah.
So Dustin might have already hung out with Carrie Hart. I got to hang out with Carrie when we were doing Supercross stuff, so that was fun. But it was before he was married to Pink, so there's no benefit for you there.
Yeah, we grew up racing around the same times.
What's the next one, Case?
Okay, so Barsha or Webb? These are profiling questions, obviously.
Yeah.
Webb.
Barsha.
Ooh, you're going Barsha? Yeah.
It's a split house.
So we didn't get to talk about Supercross because we were on like a time crunch at the beginning of the show. But, dude, that second moto that Barsha was, dude, that was so sick.
That was pretty unreal. I mean, it's got to just crush him that he was coming that hard and couldn't, he caught Tomac from 5-6 seconds back. But then when he gets there, Tomac changes his mind and decides to rip the rest of the moto.
Yeah, but knowing the mindset of and I don't know Justin at all. I know Tom Danielson, Justin's trainer, and knowing the mindset that those dudes have, Justin just catching up to him, dude, they're gonna use that for the whole rest of the season, man.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, what I'm most pumped about is that he's always ridiculously fast at times, but he's been ridiculously fast 3 weeks in a row, which is pretty cool. There's hope for it to go for the whole season,
Right. Yeah, and not to discount the Webb answer though that Elizabeth said. Well, first of all, the orange YXZ KTM Webb, I'm getting the whole orange pattern here. But Casey is all about the racecraft, and I think Dustin even has some of that Webb racecraft in him.
I'm sure.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Don't get me wrong, I like Webb, but he's like out of the picture right now, so
Right.
I gotta go
Agreed.
for Barsha.
Yep.
If it was Barsha or Reed, obviously we know what Elizabeth would have picked.
Yeah.
Favorite food?
Sushi.
Mexican. We
What you
just
got?
had carne asada burritos tonight. It was amazing.
Nice.
Nice.
Another San Diego carne asada burrito. So that's who. Well, we got another question going down the bottom.
Yeah, and I think that we do, but this is another answer that we know because Dustin says he cooks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So we know your cooking skills. You told us, so I know the answer. So ready? Here we go. Little Smokies or pizza rolls?
Little Smokies.
Nice.
Pizza roll.
Yeah, there we go.
We knew it.
It's another split house, though.
Favorite soda?
Pepsi.
Pepsi.
Oh man,
He just copies me.
I thought we were gonna get one Dr. Pepper out of them.
I know. I thought so too.
No.
All right, Uggs or Crocs?
What? What was it?
Uggs or Crocs?
Oh, Uggs.
Oh God. Neither? Is neither a question?
Neither is the answer.
Is there an all of the above? So like Casey said, a lot of these are profiling questions. So I always like to tell everybody, at least in most of the shows, that Uggs are for like mostly dune guys, right? And then the Crocs are usually for people down south. Like we like to think that they can put them in 4-wheel drive by putting up that little back thing. Okay, well, we kind of already asked this, but most memorable race. So this could be any of your races. And I always tell everybody and preface this, like mine was on a Suzuki 80 at Glen Helen when I battled Sean Hamlin and like Oscar Valdez and those kids because I got taken down the first turn. And by the end of the race, I had passed everybody and I barely missed, like by a wheel, passing Sean Hamlin at the finish line. So that was my most memorable one.
That's pretty good. That's a good one right there.
That's
a good ride.
That's what I thought.
Most memorable race.
Well, behind me is my X Games bronze medal that I got in 2009, I believe.
Nice.
For women's supercross.
Ooh, that's a memorable one.
Yeah. I love how she's like, yeah, it's no big deal. I just smoked everybody. Love it. It's great.
Okay, well then behind me is a number 1 jersey that I won the last race of a perfect season at Quad Cross in.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah, drop the mic. Favorite flavor of ice cream?
I don't want you to judge. Nutty coconut.
No judging.
That's a good one, though.
That's interesting.
I like mint chip.
Oh, I knew it. So, all right. So I was just gonna say that like Elizabeth's like answer was like so good because everybody picks mint chocolate chip, but now I got to be a dick to Dustin when I say that, right?
Yeah.
So I like that because like when I think of like ice cream, I'm like waiting for somebody to be like, oh, pistachio or like pralines, like give me the like real good ones, right? But everybody always does a mint chocolate chip.
Gold medal ribbon.
Yeah, exactly. Ski or snowboard?
Oh,
Ski. But I can't do either, so.
I can't do either. I've never even tried either one.
What?
Me neither.
Can do wheels. Things with wheels.
Yeah. I like dirt.
Dude, no way. You seriously haven't?
Check this out. So wintertime is right before race season. So I never tried either because I was always worried I was going to get hurt.
Get broken. Yep.
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah,
I never
it is.
thought of that.
Definitely.
That's crazy, though. I feel like Dustin would be good at both because he's so competitive, right?
For sure.
I don't know because I have a buddy that was like, dude, you should come go jet ski the surf with us. And I'm like, no. I'm really skilled on dirt, but when I hit water, all my skills go out the fucking window.
Oh,
I'm
really?
I can't surf. I can jet ski, but not great. I wouldn't trust myself like doing the surf, launching waves.
What about swimming?
So, swimming? I'm good at swimming.
Oh, okay.
Survival skills I'm good with.
Gotcha.
No ice skating, though. He
ice
can't
skating
ice skate.
That's sketchy.
It's because you're going to lose a digit And
Maybe.
Then he can't hold on to the grips.
We like track.
His answer kind of goes back to what I always say to everybody. Like, I wanted to make a name for myself so I could get into off-road racing. So I did the whole bicycle riding and Ironman and stuff. But to this day, still, like when I went up to, like, I couldn't swim at all. Like I could drink beer in the pool. That's it. Like I couldn't swim for shit. And then like even when I went and swam in Oceanside for the Ironman, I still drank more
swim
water
in the
than
bay.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It sucked. Like I was horrible at it. So I'm with you on the whole staying in the dirt thing.
So here's a funny story for you real quick. When I was first racing, when I first turned pro and started racing nationals, I went to Glen Helen, was my first ever national. In the first moto, I started 22nd. I went all the way to 6th. Got so tired that I started falling down like crazy and ended up 22nd in the moto, just missed point.
No way.
And then I went up to the second moto and I was on the line already tired. And so I talked to Larry Brooks, who was a team manager at that time for another team. And I was like, dude, you know, he was a good privateer for a long time. And I'm like, dude, I need to get in shape. I was a kid, you know? And he's like, swim. So I started swimming to train for racing. And I talked to him a few weeks later and I'm like, dude, I suck at swimming. He's like, that's even better. It's more of a workout if you suck. And I'm like, okay. So I just stuck with it forever.
Dude, he's exactly right, though. You can probably attest to the whole swimming thing.
It's like whole body.
Dude, it is.
For sure.
His whole body, it teaches you good breathing rhythm. There's a lot of good stuff to it.
All right, dogs or cats?
Oh, dogs.
We have both, but all right, dogs.
Yeah.
I gave Elizabeth shit because she treats the cat like crap all the time. I'm trying to tell her to be nice to it.
I feed it and clean its litter box. It's good to go.
And all it does is knock stuff off everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix.
Dude, I'm telling you, YouTube's got a lot of good content.
I know. Dirt life.
Yep.
Here's another one we already know. Burrito or taco?
Ooh.
I'll have to say taco.
I go burrito.
Yeah. See, so we already knew Dustin was going to do that. So you know Josh Shorter, right? So he.
Oh yeah.
So Josh picked California burrito. He was even more specific. So,
details.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see here. Oh, this one's actually going to be a good one. I don't know what Elizabeth's going to answer on this. I kind of
we do.
You do?
Yeah, she X Games it.
I don't know. I think she might still. Supercross or motocross?
Ooh. I'm gonna say Supercross.
You are? Okay, so Casey was right. I kind of felt like she was leaning towards motocross, but what about you, Dustin?
To watch Supercross, to ride motocross.
Oh, so you're going to pick both? Yeah. So Casey is...
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I love the motocross, like for the guys, just the grit of the guys hanging it out for that long.
Yep.
Because I can relate to that better. I was better at motocross. I was sketchy in Supercross, but Supercross just has the lights and it's just has a little bit more excitement behind it, I think.
The flair, yeah.
Yep.
Casey was like all 100% Supercross, and I think I was more of the motocross dude too. Like, so we, what's the next one?
What other form of racing would you like to try?
Okay, so don't answer this just yet. Like, you can preface it. It could be jet ski racing, boat racing, F1,
Swamp buggies,
or even like somebody that's sitting here in the studio might like monster trucks. I don't know. I'm not going to name names.
Me? Oh, I just started mountain biking. I'm not very good at all. But if they had like a women's first timer, like
30
plus only uphill
She's
race.
gonna keep trying to like classify it to where she can win.
Yeah.
Got it.
I downloaded Strava and now I'm way too competitive.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
second the other day.
Be careful. That was
you
fallen into the Strava.
Yeah, all
Strava
of a sudden,
makes me dope, right?
Yeah,
that's what everybody says.
You're just going to be fiending from now on.
Yep.
What's the again, Josh Shorter? What's the race that he won? What was it called? The mountain bike race?
Oh, he won dual slalom at the Sea Otter.
Sea Otter, that's what it was.
Yeah, classic. Yeah,
Yep.
So
that's big.
Yeah,
that's a big race.
It really is.
Well, I just wanted to throw it out there, so because I don't want her to just have a Strava goal. I was thinking like more like a real goal.
She could probably throw on downhill gear and whoop half of the women that do that because of the skills.
This is what we argue about on mountain bike rides. She's a professional dirt bike racer.
Exactly.
Should rip downhills. She's a snail downhills. It's horrible.
What about that 24-hour race? Like, what are there more races like that where you got to be like in like
endurance
super good
stuff?
shape?
Yeah, maybe that's your thing. Maybe you just want to go do the crazy endurance stuff because
just go up.
because you have the bike handling skills, like Dustin said. So you're already 50 times higher than half of the field. There you go. That's your new thing.
Dude, I see a mountain bike champion in the making right here. What about you, Dustin? What other form of racing would you like to try?
I'd like to try some pavement racing at some point. I've done nearly everything in dirt. So,
well, you even did some circle stuff in dirt too. I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, not really race. I did a lot of development on that R1DT that Yamaha was developing for a couple of years, but we did one like exhibition race in it, and then the project got canned, so it was sad. But
is that what kind of makes you lean towards the dirt or the pavement side? Like to answer that way?
No. I mean, I think the dirt oval would be really fun too. It was just like I've kind of spent a good amount of time on dirt, on the dirt oval during development. I just think that pavement would be like totally new and new challenges, trying to, force myself to try and be good at something else. So,
I kind of thought he was going to answer, well, similar to that. I thought he was going to say MotoGP. That's what I thought he was going to say.
Oh, no.
MotoGP or F1 those are two of my favorite things to watch on TV.
Dude, but they're that's what I was going to say too. Like, they're so freaking not, like, if you wad it up on MotoGP, like, I feel like dead, like, automatically.
Right.
Like, that's just...
Yeah, but you don't think about that going in.
Of course
not. Yeah, you think about how much fun it's going to be. All right.
You just got to think about how cool it'd be to win.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, what's the last question, Case?
I think it's you.
Oh, it's me?
It's you. Yeah, we skipped.
Okay, so chips and guacamole or French fries and ketchup?
Oh, chips and guacamole for sure. I'm not a real sauce person, so I don't even need ketchup for my fries.
Nice.
And I'm like the one Southern California guy that doesn't like avocado or guacamole, so I'll do fries and ketchup.
Dude, that's not true though. Steve Westfall.
Yeah, yep.
Steve Westfall's French fries and ketchup.
Yeah, he was French fries and ketchup.
Yeah.
Scuba Steve?
Yep.
If you do chips and salsa, I'm down with that, but not guac.
You just don't like the avocado. Are you allergic?
Yeah. No, I'm not allergic. I just don't do it.
All right.
I'm a texture guy. I don't like the texture.
Oh, I gotcha. Nothing slimy.
No.
All right. Well, that's all for our rapid fire Q&A. You guys passed the test wonderfully, so good job.
All right.
We really appreciate it. So, well, thank you very much, Elizabeth, for making a VIP appearance. We really appreciate it. Thanks for sharing, what was it, probably only maybe 15, 20% of your motorsports story, Dustin. So we really appreciate you getting in depth with our audience and answering all their questions and stuff, though, too. It was really cool.
No problem, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. It was fun talking with you guys. Bringing up some old memories, Verona and everything. It was cool.
Yeah,
the old truck. I can't get the old truck out of my mind, and I'm bummed out that I blew it. That was a little Dodge.
So we had before the show.
Was it blue?
Was it?
No.
Dang.
It was like brown rust color.
So before the show,
it was.
We had,
but it always has these mint bikes in it. That's why I can't forget it.
Yeah.
Oh, because the
bikes were worth more than the truck.
Yeah, that was the coolest thing about it.
So for our audience members that are listening right now or watching, we had a little conversation before the show started about trucks. So everybody's had this conversation with somebody, I'm sure. The memories that they have going to the track and what they saw and the fast riders and different things like that. Well, the one that we came with Dustin was he had an old truck and you thought it was I
thought it was a Nissan or a Datsun.
A Datsun, but it was a Dodge that was the same thing and it had mint bikes in the back.
Well, it was just awesome for the baddest dude to show up in that old truck with those perfect bikes. That's what stood out to me was like, I'm getting here however I need to get here, and then I'm going to wax you guys up. That's That's how I looked at it. So
That's cool.
Funny thing about that truck was like me and Pops would drive that truck like all over SoCal, over to Arizona, race, no big deal. But we were up at a sponsor of mine's house one time, this guy Ted Hybert that owned a ZLT, like designs.
oh
that
yeah,
like
remember ZLT? Those were awesome
and stuff.
Yep.
And Ted needed to use my truck to like run to the store real quick, and he came back.
Uh-oh.
And he's like, "Holy shit! I see why your arms can hold on for that long, because the truck didn't have power steering."
Yes.
And he was like, "I had arm pump leaving the parking lot in this thing," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's good training. Just drive this thing around all day."
Perfect.
Dude, that's awesome. We just had Ryan Edwards from KMC Wheels talking about that. He didn't have power steering at a DP4 race that he just did in his Polaris RZR the whole time. And he's like, dude, motocross racing, like arm pump is like 10 times less than any type of four-wheel arm pump.
Yeah, I was watching you guys. That was crazy. That'd be tough.
Yeah, but not for you. Not for after driving the Dodge.
Yeah.
I've probably gotten soft in my old age, you know.
You're medium age, bro.
No, he's old.
He's a lot younger than me, so he likes to call me old. But you know, hey,
we'll take it. Hey, all right. Well, thank you very much, Elizabeth, and thanks, Dustin, for joining us tonight, man. It was really, really cool to have you on the show. We really appreciate it. So we'll let you guys get back to whatever you guys got planned for tonight.
All right, shirt's coming back off.
I wanted to show you my new Yellowstone sweatshirt.
Like the TV show?
Yes.
Yes.
Kevin Costner.
Oh, I
Remember?
get it.
He
Okay.
was one of my,
Yes, he
one of my
was.
passes.
Yeah,
All right.
my wife and I are into that
Hey, is it good?
show. It's great.
I've been wanting to get on it.
It's great.
Is it pretty good?
It's good.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So
Oh, it's really nice.
I'm going to have to push aside some of my YouTube content and get on the Netflix content then.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much, Dustin. And did
We'll
you
see
have
ya.
it?
Thanks, guys.
Well, not just yet. Did you have anybody other than Popsy you wanted to thank before you hang up?
I mean, I'm good. Like, you know, obviously we talked about Yamaha plenty during this thing. They've been a supporter of my deal for a long time. And, you know, I'm wearing a GBC shirt. They take good care of me still.
I meant more of the personal people, like the guys like me that pushed you around the track so many times.
Yeah.
The people like Elizabeth that told you to haul ass more.
We didn't talk about when you smashed me so hard at Wild Horse that my steering wheel broke off my car on the back straightaway.
Ouch.
Did I really do that?
We missed that story.
I had somebody do that to me too.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Remember? I think it was the last race of maybe it was the shootout weekend of the big series in 17. Me and you hit so hard after the 3 rollers into the sweeper, like into the last corner. We hit so hard, and then I go down the front straight through turn 1, and I go off the jump on the back straight, and my steering wheel just folded like off my.
I remember you telling me about that.
It was so gnarly. I was like, "Damn it, George!
What do we do?
So hard to my steering wheel."
I remember, and I was so upset too. Like I was like,
you came over and apologized.
Yeah.
It was like,
dude,
it was that type of year.
Yeah,
it was that type of year. That shit was happening to me every weekend.
I remember that, man. Well, hey,
Did Elizabeth yell at Brian up in the spotter?
Yeah, she probably yelled at your spotter up there.
Yeah, no wonder Brian likes Elizabeth so much now. Hey, well, dude, honestly, like I really do appreciate that whole 2016 year because that was like the highlight of my whole side-by-side racing career too, as it sounds like yours was too. That was just a fun-ass year, man. I remember even seeing Elizabeth on the track, dude. We were all having a good time.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good times. It was learning so much about all the new cars and, you know, driving against new people and all that stuff all year. It was a lot of fun.
Super cool, man. Well, hey, thank you very much for everything that you've done for the industry as well. So I really appreciate both of you guys coming on the show, and thank you, Dustin. We will see you soon at the track, I'm sure.
Sounds good. We'll see you guys.
Thanks.
Take care.
Later.
See ya. Man, that was super cool. It's really, really awesome to be able to talk about all that stuff, man, especially just understanding how the motorsports world just has so many similarities for every single person that's in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's so cool.
I love to hear how he just followed the it wasn't a passion for like the bike or the next thing. It was like the passion to just race.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm going to reinvent myself with adding 2 more wheels.
Yeah, what he wanted to do, right?
And then, okay, let's go in the cage. You know what I mean? That's awesome. I love that.
And also following opportunities, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So it's neat to be able to understand that too, and you have to create those opportunities for yourself, right? Like you can't just they don't just happen. I mean, that opportunity kind of happened with Yamaha, but he created it by being a test rider for so long and showing how valuable he was as a person to the company.
Right. And when they come around, not missing them.
Yeah, absolutely, and jumping on them. So I think that's super cool. I really, honestly, I still look up to Dustin ever since day one, since we went out to Brono Oaks and saw him as a fast racer. And since I, saw him at the side-by-side races, it was cool to see. And it's neat to be able to understand what type of person he is. Just a good dude, He has a good family and stuff, too. So
sure.
I really appreciate Dustin and Elizabeth for coming on, too. I really appreciate them taking the time. So next week, our featured guest is one of our guys that helped us out in our racing program, Jimmy Moore. He helped out with suspension for us for 2017. But knowing what we just talked about, Dustin, like when we went up to Reno and seeing Jimmy with his family, they let us come to their house, and just understanding who they are as people. That's the reason I wanted to have him on the show, is because he's such a good family man, and they just have the same passion that Dustin and all of us have for motorsports in general. They just love being out in the dirt. So we can't wait to have Jimmy on the show next week. Thank you very much to everybody for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. Thank you to all of our sponsors, Shock Therapy, KMC Wheels, Ollinger Racing Products, Rugged Radios, Solderweld, all of those places. You can use the code DIRTLIFE to save yourself a whole bunch of money and just get better service and everything with those guys. So please thank our sponsors by supporting them. And like I said, thank you guys very, very much for joining us tonight. It's our lifeblood. You guys are always our lifeblood, and we really appreciate you staying with us and hanging out. Join us on social media anytime at The Dirt Life Show. You can hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of that. So please subscribe to our channel, follow us, and look at the show on iTunes as well if you are driving. Don't watch it on YouTube. Like I said, thank you guys very, very much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and all the great questions.
Yeah.
Tyrone, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, it's really cool to see when you have all of these people joining us. I don't know if we had anybody else comment in, but we really appreciate all the stuff that you guys have done for us and how you guys are making the show bigger and better for us every time. So thank you very much. You got anything else, Case?
I think we're good.
Cool, man. Well, thank you guys very much for joining us. We will see you guys next week. We love you. Good night.
Thanks for listening to The Dirt Life Show.